To Plat Chat VALORANT episode 163. I am back. Ball is here. Josh Wilkinson is here. We're starting right on time. And we have a special guest, FNS, live from, I don't know, California, probably?
Yeah, you could have asked me before we started this, man.
California. I don't know what's been going on.
Dallas, bro. Dallas.
Been a while. Oh, Dallas?
Literally not listening.
Oh.
You listened to Barlow when he said California.
I heard Barlow.
California.
It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Doesn't matter.
Okay. I've been out of commission. I don't know what's going on. So I'm here to ask a lot of questions. Things have been happening. There's been a couple tournaments. Josh dropped a 3-hour video about the format that gave him a migraine. I need assistance. So I need people to help me today understand what's going on in the scene.
Not much is the answer to that, actually.
Oh.
It's
actually been quite a quiet week.
You made a 3-hour video about nothing?
Dude, I mean, that's the thing, though. The community's just getting so mad about smaller things because the off-season has dragged on for so long and there's nothing else to do. So they're just boredom is causing malcontent.
Josh, did you dye the tips of your mustache? What the hell is going on there?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. I was doing a charity fundraiser, and one of the things was that I was going to bleach the ends of my mustache.
Looks awesome. It's just your skin, bro.
I know that's the problem. It actually just looks like I chopped the end of it off because it just blends in with my face. So it looks shite. But I think I can put some like temporary dye on it.
Baldur's Gay character now. It's horrible.
You've got some serious distance going on that one. All right, we're going to talk a lot about Americas today. So if you're from Europe, Asia, most regions in the world, too bad. Cry about it for a week, and we'll talk about you later. Because today we're talking about America only. If you're not free, you're not getting talked about. Sorry. We're going to go over all the teams, a lot of power rankings, but first, there are some Skye nerfs and breeze changes that just got announced in the upcoming patch 8.01. So I'm going down here. If you want to, where do we start at? Oh, we're starting up at breeze. So they've returned the hall to being open, how God intended the map to be. Josh, react.
I mean, it looked stupid beforehand, didn't it? They just put some gates there and they were like, just pretend we never made this part of the map. But I actually thought that the map still flowed all right without halls. I thought that the way that they adjusted mid was, at least in my ranked games, people were actually taking more elbow control, whereas previously that was like a forbidden part of the map in ranked. At least at the level that I was playing at, people were just like, nah, no interest in going there. No interest in taking any mid control on breeze. I was actually kind of liking the way that the map was playing previously. I don't know. I feel like the halls makes it really awkward to look after mid control on defense.
Because you have too many people like needing to float, or what?
Yeah, because you need people on site if you want to actually stop a site hit from coming through. Like, people are often going for 5 hits or 4-1 plays on breeze, and if you don't have multiple players on site ready to try to hard anchor, then you're just playing retake, and if you have to allocate 1 or 2 players over towards mid, you're playing retake in a lot of those rounds, which I don't find particularly to be that interesting of a style of Valorant, where you're just very quickly moving on to the latter portion of the round where you're in the post-plant retake phase. It's one of the reasons why I'm not really a big fan of Icebox, is that it just ends up being that a lot of the time, rather than having a bit of a push and pull for map control. But, you know, I don't know. What do you think?
I mean, I don't really care that much. I like in terms of like how the map plays with the halls versus not. I think it was fine either way. I think I like the halls being open because that just adds more things to be doing on the map, and I think that's more interesting. But like, I don't think it changes drastically the way that the map is going to play. Like, now we have to have somebody jump spotting halls on defense, and we have to be maybe throwing that orb all the way down so that you can block the information and threaten stuff. And I think that's just more interesting because you're more active. But I mean, it was already changed so significantly. I was kind of enjoying like calling in Premiere and ranked and stuff like that, and having the lurks go through mid rather than in halls. But I don't really care that much.
I feel like this brings back the chamber meta, no? Like, you have to have a third trip because Cypher trips are going to be so easy to break in halls, and by the Sova shocks or whatever. So all Sovas are always going to shock that, whereas chamber trips are easier to like place and they're easier to hide as well. So then that way you don't have to put a body there, because there's so many choke points on the map already. Adding another one back that they previously removed doesn't help the defense at all, and the map was already decently attack sided. Maybe not necessarily on post plants, but in terms of the overall picture of the map, in terms of map control.
Yeah. So like he was talking about quite a few of the maps recently looking like they are suited towards some kind of double Sentinel setup where you're running chamber and Cypher.
You have to.
And yeah, I feel like that might be an interesting... I mean, I don't think we've ever been in a meta like that.
Yeah, he's back.
Yeah. Dude, bleed #1
Bleed's about
just
a clear
because of this
breeze.
change.
Yep.
You guys are the only motherfuckers I ever like seen run double Sentinel back on Haven. Like that has never really been a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think people are going to be running the Phoenix with it on Breeze, though. I don't think that's going to happen.
Definitely not.
Crew had that double Sentinel comp in LCQ, or what was it? Crew or Furia?
Yeah.
I can't remember. That shit
it was Crew.
crazy on Bind or whatever. Or
Yeah,
They ran it on Haven again, didn't they?
Haven. Yeah, it was Haven.
How many minutes was that, Kurt? How many minutes did we last?
I don't know. It was not under 5 minutes.
What happened? What happened? No, what happened?
Arden, it's okay, but
no,
you're going to be
it wasn't me
receiving an
again.
invoice in your email from Mr. X after the episode, but it's fine. We all make mistakes. We've been demonetized. It's all good. So y'all think then we're going to kind of be returning to the old comp that we'd seen on Breeze, essentially?
I was the one that was
previous
already
mode?
like coming through in the offseason. It was just the same old fucking KO comp.
I mean, we did see some interesting ones at off-season events, right?
The double Initiator, double Smokes comps without a
Yeah.
Sentinel at all. Yeah, goodbye to those, though. I
Yeah.
mean, how do you play those on the defense
you
side?
don't.
They were already attack-sided, and now it's like, what? You just got to run around the map and try and be quick enough that they can't get lurk timings.
Well, a
through.
lot of teams are
That would
trying
be
to do that
tough.
for the double duelist factor, right? It's just having the Yoru. I think it was Yoru Jet that they
Yeah.
were trying to get through because they don't have to worry about trips at that point. But I don't know if they can do that anymore. I think it might just be a one duelist map now.
I mean, for real, this is the worst map pool of all time. Can
Oh,
we just,
yes.
Can we just agree?
Oh,
Can we
yes.
just agree? I
Believe
mean,
me,
any map pool
yes.
that has Fracture and Haven out is going to be bad anyway, but
Yeah.
holy cock and ball torture. This is like... Dude, I'm playing in ranked and I've never been more miserable. And that's partly because I'm playing badly, but also because a new a map comes up and I'm like, I guess. And then the next one comes up and I'm like, okay then. Like, can we get to the good ones? Oh wait, they've all been removed.
It's so bad.
Yeah,
It's
what's left that's good?
Like
I like
it's,
Ascent,
It's funny
but-
because like Ascent and Split are the ones that I'm like, yeah, even though I want Ascent to be removed, but like it's still like a good map in comparison to everything else.
Yeah.
It's just a bit dull, but it's not bad.
The issue with Ascent has always just been the same meta over and over again.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
the issue. It's like nothing changes unless Paper X comes out of nowhere and goes, yo, like we're done with this normal shit. Let's do some fun stuff. But besides that, like I think Loud is the only other team besides maybe some tier 2 teams that go like Viper Harbor on that map. But for the most part, KO clears with the amount of info he gathers. So it's like
Yeah.
it's always gonna go back to the KO meta with Sova. So
Well, especially with these fucking Skye changes.
Right.
Woo!
Yeah, ooh, the Segway King. You did my job for me. Let's go down to Skye and see what's up, which is some really awkward change. I mean, the first part isn't necessarily awkward. All right, they change it so the guiding light, the flash, no longer regenerates during a round. Okay, so you're locked in with the 2. But now the guiding light now automatically activates the flash at the end of its lifetime. Ugh, that is gross. I'm just imagining having to use that in my head, and I don't like it. It's not. That's not fun.
No, that's not the only time that it pops, though. It's not like it only pops at the end. You can still pop it earlier.
Oh, okay. I misread that. I thought they made it so you have to pop it at the end, which is like.
wait, what?
Surely not, right?
No,
Surely
no,
not, because that's. I mean,
Okay,
that would just kill
I
Skye.
misread it then, because I'm
No,
like, that is a horrific change if that's what it is.
I think this change is like to help the noobs like press their button at the end of the
Oh.
thing. Because bro, I'm not gonna
okay.
lie.
All right, I got really worried there for a second that they just obliterated
that would
Skye.
be crazy.
When
Okay.
What, like if you want to do a pop flash, you have to spin it around in a circle before you
No,
put it
like,
out
you
the
have to-
door?
yeah, like you have to do like lineups and shit. You have to be flashing your
that'd
teammates
be
from
brain dead.
miles away.
That'd be very funny though.
That's what that's genuinely, that's what it read like to me at first. I'm like, there's no way that's what they're
you just
doing.
hear the bird for like 10 seconds, and you're like, "Where the fuck is this flash?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
This kill. I mean, this kills her straight up. not the activation thing, but the 2 flashes only. That kills her. You can't like insta flash, for example, belong on bind. You're just wasting way too much later in the round. And that's a major part of the kit to understand like what type of default they're going for. Or
I mean,
what-
bind is a good example of that, right? Like
Yeah.
consistently having to flash long B to clear get info, because usually you play 2 towards B, Skye being one of them. And now you're only going to have the 2 flashes, which means after that flash is gone and your dog usually goes through the TP, you are useless bot just sitting there with a heal. And so what's the
Yeah.
point, right? You don't really gain info. That was the whole reason for Skye again. So I think it's just going to be Sova dominant now.
I also, I feel like that if there were different compositions that were available where you could run double initiator, where the fact that she doesn't have the extra flash regeneration might still be useful, then maybe she'd see some playtime. But any kind of double initiator comp, you'd be rather running. Like if you're going to pair her with a Sova, you'd rather have
The only
breach
issue
with it rather than this guy.
or even just as flash duelist.
Sure.
So that's my
Ooh.
point. Is there's so many other characters that can do a better job than Skye now. You know?
I mean, KO right away. It just
Yeah.
instantly
So
overtakes.
How do you feel about this heavy-handed approach, though? Because when you look at their justification, it's like she became too dominant towards the end of 2023, which I agree with. And even though the meta was looking like it was, because you bring Cypher more and more powerful, you probably incentivize people to be running this over in order to deal with the shocks. But how do you feel about the heavy-handed approach of like, we saw too much Skye, kick her into the dust, just stomp her for a bit, and then we'll bring her back up? 'Cause I
well,
don't mind it.
where did we see Skye a lot end of 2023?
Well,
What
she was-
maps?
Dude, what maps
Lotus
were
a
we
little
even playing?
bit. Yeah, what maps? We had
Yeah, I
split
mean, people
constantly.
were playing her
Yeah,
a lot on
Split.
Bind.
Lotus, Split.
Pretty much
Bind.
every map, no?
Yeah,
Other
it
than
wasn't-
other than
it wasn't
that.
on Ascent.
Wasn't she on? Yeah,
She wasn't being played on Ascent, and she wasn't being played on half of people's Haven comps.
It was
I mean, you played it.
split. It was split bind for sure. Those are the two like nobody changed off of Skye.
Yep.
And then I don't remember anything else. So it's for sure.
Lotus, we had Fade or Skye.
Yeah.
Right?
But
yeah,
most
'cause-
people were running Skye.
Yeah. Towards the end, yes.
And then you had like half of the teams and more teams running on Haven alongside that, like Omen Viper comp or the Viper Harbor comp.
Yeah.
I think she was pretty consistently like top 3 in terms of pick rate.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. But again, that doesn't mean that she would have been heading into next year based on the other changes.
Damn, what the fuck? You stopped playing pro for like, what, 4 months and you forget what the meta was, bro? What's
Oh
going
yeah,
on?
literally.
Dude,
I
Skye
stopped
was so
Literally.
powerful. You were playing it at the beginning of last year, Finesse.
No, yeah, at the beginning of the year for sure. But when they had Pearl, now these
Right,
maps
yeah,
are
yeah.
shit. Like literally the shittiest map pool. So now I have to like rethink back to when the game was actually good.
Yeah.
Now I don't know. We'll see, I guess.
All right, and
Dude.
then well, no, Josh.
Sorry. I mean, just in terms of like winners and losers of this, Sassy salivating, Cracks, KO meta, he's going to be losing his mind. There's a bunch of players who are out here just looking at this and they're like pulling the party poppers, donning the hats, like doing a jig around their room.
I mean-
Skye's dead! Skye's dead! Ah!
Yeah.
They just got Cracks to start playing other agents too. Now
Yeah, I
we can
know.
go back to
Dude,
playing.
and it's funny because
Yeah,
what
fuck
is it? There's 2-3 weeks before the season starts, probably like a week before the Challengers qualifier starts, by the way. All these teams have been playing. They're like, oh,
It
I
is
guess
so
Skye's not
weird.
getting nerfed. And they're just like, oh, fuck you. It's gone finally when they've been trying forever to end this character.
They did say that Skye was sorry, not Skye. They did say that they were going to try and sync up the esports stuff and the game more heavily. Like they said that last year, and yet I saw Chet tweet about it too, where it was like, we had a fucking 6-month-long off season, and most of the changes are happening right before the season begins. Why? They had
Been
so
asking
much time
this-
to do this.
I'd say something, but I don't want to get fined. Oh wait.
You can't get fined. The freedom.
Nah, I don't know. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. It literally makes zero sense. I don't know what they're working on to where like this comes out this last minute, because yes, it just completely, all this practice, like you said, goes into it, and then all of a sudden it switches up 2 weeks before the tournament starts. And this isn't just a joke tournament, you know? It's not just some small. It's not like, I'm not saying lock-in was a joke tournament, but at least it was an invite-only event, right? This is like you have to earn your spot to get there as a qualifier, so it doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, I mean, challengers qualifiers will probably be played on the old stuff, I would assume, because that's how they kind of normally do. They like give it a week or two before.
We'll see, man. We'll see.
Yeah, who knows? But
when
even
does that
then, like
start?
challengers will start, and then they'll have to swap anyway. So it's like
Yeah.
still just messing around. And even worse for like the game changers teams, where it's what is it? DC, I think it's literally this week or next week or something like that. And
Oh
then
wait, going back to
Yeah,
our
like-
previous topic, I know why they messed up Skye. They want Gecko to be used. I forgot
Okay.
about Gecko because you pick her shit up right away.
All
right, I
right,
forgot about that buff entirely. Bro.
Yeah. That's why they're
Yeah.
doing it 100%. Gecko's gonna
Yeah.
clear Skye on bind, for example.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Gecko is going to be fantastic on that map. I
Yeah.
don't know how many maps you can really get away with running him, but yeah, on Binder, it seems
Yeah.
really good.
100%.
Bala, you just said game changers, and I know that we want to move on to the next topic, but just really quick, Team Liquid Brazil are going on a run at the moment through the open qualifiers of challenges. So the game changers team participating in challenges to try and like qualify over there. And Eugenia just beat her boyfriend's team in order to win the open qualifier and make it to the closed qualifiers. So that was a fun game to watch on VLR. They didn't do a stream of it, as far as I'm aware, but they are now into the closed qualifier where they would need to win. I think it's 3 matches, but it might be 4 matches depending on whether they go through the lower bracket or something to be able to make it into challenges, which I think is the closest that any game changers team has come to making it into like tier 2 proper,
Yeah,
which is pretty
definitely
sick.
Definitely in
Wait,
Brazil.
what did you say at the beginning? A girlfriend beat her boyfriend? Is that what you said?
Yeah. So this is Eugenia, who plays for Team Liquid Brazil, was playing against Zenom, who is her boyfriend, and they blasted them, I think. What was the score of the game? It was like 2-0, and what was the score on
13-5,
Bind and Split?
13-10.
Yeah, I mean, get fucking
Yeah.
owned. Get owned, kid.
I'd be so mad, dude. I'd be so mad.
I mean, there's got to be some friendly rivalry in a household where...
Nah!
Like...
Nah, that's unacceptable. I'd be losing my shit. I'm not talking to her for at least 2 weeks. Jesus.
Wait, Ball, you mentioned the NA challengers. When does that start?
Let's take
Is
a
that
look.
yeah? Give me the info on that while I we can keep it moving on the patch notes, because I suppose maybe the potential alternative theory is that they're going to be trying to push ISO into the game.
It's
after
Jan
seeing
31st.
But so Jan
Okay.
31st for NA, but literally all the VRL qualifiers are going on right now.
Right. Got you. So, I mean, yeah, we'll see what they do with the patch. But, all right. So, lower down the list, they did give ISO a bit of a buff. They buffed the little Reyna shield orb thing that's really annoying in Team Deathmatch. You have another I don't know where else ISO's annoying, but only in TDM in my experience. In the actual game and ranked, not
That's where she's
particularly
used,
good.
or he's used. It's the
Yeah,
only place he's
Bro, in
used.
TDM, ISO's fucking wild, and they just
Yeah.
buffed him, so my TDM games are ruined. The orb duration is increased from 2 to 3 seconds.
The shield
buff
width
and
has been
shield-
reduced.
Yeah,
So now
the
it actually
duration-
fits his body, presumably, rather than extending out to the side, so he won't get seen around corners.
So that little like purple edge around him isn't as wide if you're being swung, and the
What is
buff and
contingency?
shield duration. That's the wall.
vulnerable.
Oh, that's the... Wait.
That's the wall.
No, that is the wall, because it's the C
Yeah, it's the wall.
ability.
Sure.
I don't know the
yeah.
names of any of the ISO abilities, man.
Who cares, man?
And you shouldn't.
Yeah.
I mean, you shouldn't, right?
Yeah.
But, like, I know more about ISO because I play TDM all day. The cost was reduced from 250 to 200. I mean, that ability is good.
Wasn't that?
I will be
What?
shocked if this guy's used. I would be blown away if this guy's used in anything real.
It's Paper X. It's a Paper X
I mean, is
kind
it
of
though?
agent.
There was
Is it
one
good enough even for them?
one series where it was like I don't remember the context.
Guys,
but
they
in the
didn't even
offseason-
use him in an off-season event.
Yeah.
That's what I'm
That
saying.
should tell you all you need to know
There was
And they
about
had
how
one
bad he is.
game, and this
And they had
motherfucker
Jake.
went in like a best of 5 or something in the grand finals, and the last
Oh,
round
yeah.
he used his ult and lost his ult, lost
That was
the
Leviatán,
gulag,
man.
lost the gulag, and then lost Ascension.
Yeah. He got played on bind by Rare Adam. I forgot about that. I've actually just blanked that out of my memory. I've memory holed that entire game.
That's funny. Yeah, what was the last agent they did
Hold
this
on.
with? Where they
Finesse,
just
I have a
like,
question. Did you
drip
retire
fed buffs?
because you didn't want to get gulagged?
Honestly, the thing is, that is the speculation. I've been asked this question many times. No. If anything, I would say this map pool, I couldn't have ended playing at a better time, because if I was going into this map pool and had these kinds of issues to deal with, where they're making changes like a week or two before, I would be losing my shit on Twitter, dude. But now I just get to watch and laugh at the people that are mad, which is the best.
It's funnier from the outside. I gotta,
yes.
Yeah.
gotta agree.
Join us on the outside.
Oh, it's
where we
hilarious.
just get to laugh and have no worries.
Plus, this
at all.
agent's a
So
dog
much
shit anyway,
easier.
so he would never be played.
That's true.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean, what was the last time they had one of these agents that just sucked ass on release and they just slowly
Deadlock.
buffed them until?
Oh, Deadlock.
Oh,
too.
Deadlock.
Well,
Like
Deadlock,
many examples,
but
actually.
one that they buffed to the point where it was really good. I'm trying to forget the last time they did that.
I mean,
Gecko
Viper's
now.
the most like classic
Yeah,
one.
Gecko,
but
I guess.
Gecko.
Yeah, it was.
I'm
Gecko.
telling you, you're about to see some stupid amounts of Gecko play. Gecko and Yoru are about to be
Yeah, no,
taking over.
I'm with the Gecko hype
Yeah.
for sure.
As long as motherfuckers learn not to int your bomb in by itself before the execute happens and before you have space on the site.
That whole kit is insane now, dude. I pick up that flash in 0.1 seconds. It's insane.
It's like removing the deadlock.
It's
dart.
too strong. It's actually too strong. They're gonna have to nerf him eventually once he gets, played more.
And then, all right, they made one small change to Raze. I didn't even see this earlier. With the blast pack, the audio for Raze traveling through the air with the blast pack is now louder when
They've
she's
done this?
traveling towards you.
They've done this like 7 times, bro. They're like, oh, Raze, it's unclear where she's landing, so let's change it. They've done this like 7 times. I don't
Low-key, I'm
care.
down for this change. I'm playing ranked. I have no clue sometimes. I just don't. When there's a lot of util, you just don't hear her.
I've actually lost all respect for the developers though anyway, because they blatantly
Dude, what?
lied. They blatantly lied about the judge being nerfed.
During the layoffs,
Blatantly.
Josh.
Well, yeah, I mean, I probably shouldn't say that during the layoff, should I? When people are losing their jobs left,
How
right, and center.
dare you?
I might
But-
still play, but I would say shit like that all the time, man. I love how you can just say that.
Dude, the thing is though that dude, I'm joking, but they must have lied about the judge nerfs. They must have lied about the judge nerfs. They said that it had been nerfed when it was going in the air. The amount of times that it doesn't matter if I can hear the fact that the Raze is coming towards me. It doesn't matter because I am an ant looking at a supernova. I am just staring at the sky as a Raze with the judge flies towards me, and they're still getting the kill no matter how much you nerf the gun. Doesn't matter. You could put a single pellet that it fires out of it. I would still die to that shit every time.
Problem is, it goes
ridiculous.
back to the maps, though. The maps are too congested for where Judge will always just be insane. No matter how much they try to nerf it, it will always just be insane because the maps are so fucking tiny.
Mm,
And
yeah.
that's the biggest issue. Dude, we had a meeting with Riot when I told them this exact thing. Where I'm like, dude, just make the maps wider, bigger, more space. Because it's just util fest right now. 3 boxes you could hide behind. And that's it.
There's no space to hide. I've been ranting about this shit
Yeah.
forever. There's no space to hide. There's no
For the
space
amount
to
of
have
util that there
any
is-
setups, man. Like,
Yeah.
let me just do a crossfire. Just
For the
one,
amount of
grab
util that
any-
there is, if you're playing like a Gecko Reyna, I have to break 2 flashes while shooting. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's so
while
many
shooting
things.
a drone or
Yeah.
a dog or whatever. Like,
Nah,
you're
it's-
just screwed.
It's too much. The bomb sites are too confined, and also even middle parts of the map when you're actually getting into, like, for example, market or clearing those areas. They're just so close range that a shotguns can just dominate you. Going up cat, forget about it. On
Get rid of
SF.
all regenerative abilities. Move us into Valorant
Down.
2.0.
I've always been down.
No.
I've always been down.
No.
Yeah, I've always been down, especially with these
Are you
maps.
suggesting making the game harder? How dare you, dude? How dare you? It's for the noobs, man.
That's true.
All right. Let's oh god. All right. Let's move on to my favorite topic here. Now this is one I've totally avoided This is the one that Josh made a 4-hour video about. Is the 2024 schedule really that bad? And dude, Josh, I need the cliff notes because I'm going to be. This is one of the
I'm
things.
going to talk for an hour and a half.
This is one of the things that I just can't get myself to care about. And I don't want to have to replace, vital memories to leave for this. Dude, this thumbnail. I don't want to replace vital memories to have to store information about the 2024 hot takes about the schedule. So Josh, just please give me the cliff notes and let's move on with our lives.
Okay, last year people were annoyed because they had lock-in instead of an entire extra domestic stage, but they were like, okay, because it's going to be different for next year. Next year comes around, they get rid of lock-in. They still need to replace it with an international tournament, so they do that. But they had the kickoff tournament instead of adding an entire round-robin stage. People are mad, especially because when you frame it as the minimum number of matches that a team would play, if you're looking at the bad teams that don't make playoffs or don't win any games at kickoff or never make it to an international stage, they'll only play 12 games. And looking at the numbers, there's going to be about 10 or 11 teams out of the how many do we have? 44. So about 10 or 11 teams out of 44, like 25% of the teams are going to be playing only the minimum number of matches, 12 matches.
This is fucked. This is fucked.
So people were very angry about that. But it's. There are a lot of, if I'm trying to give you the cliff notes, there are a lot of other reasons why the ways that people want the schedule to run are quite difficult to make work. You can make them work for this year, but by the time you get to 2027 and there's 14 teams in each league, there's 56 teams overall in the circuit, it makes it really difficult to come up with longer formats because round robins just take far longer.
I just think about it this way, right? This is a I know Josh is, glazing right now, whatever. It's just so impossible. I can't. But realistically, just think about what the product is that they've given you right now. It's a global league that is actually global, where all parts of the worlds are competing except OC, because fuck OC, I guess. And you're getting 3 international tournaments that are competing between all those parts of the regions, and is working within an ecosystem that is esports, that is crazy unprofitable and all that. And that is crazy to me. No other sport has actually achieved that, right? Thinking about football, soccer, basketball, any of those things, you don't have global leagues. You have them regionalized. You have them in a specific space like Europe or the US or whatever. You have all of that. There's not actually global tournaments. The global tournaments happen every 4 years. They're called the World Cups. We're getting that shit pretty frequently. And in order to make a schedule that actually works like that, that's insane. And they've somehow done it, and it's not crazy overbearing for all the players. But I mean, that's how I think about it.
But one of the other key problems is that when the community's bothered about minimum numbers of matches for the teams that are at the bottom, right? But the problem is that everybody actually wants to watch the international events. And as much as they might tell you that I only follow 100 Thieves, so I didn't watch the international events all year because they didn't go, that's just not the way that most viewers work. You look at the viewership data, and the international events get way higher viewership. People tune in for those. But those don't add any to the minimum number of matches. Those are all based on merit. So the more that you prioritize the stuff that people actually want to watch, the international tournaments, then the more time in the calendar is taken up with merit-based tournaments where it doesn't add to the minimum number. So the two are diametrically opposed to each other. The more time in the calendar you add to the stuff that people tune in to watch the most for, the more that you take away from the safety net for the bad teams.
Yeah. I mean,
all right.
Sorry, Wyatt, go ahead.
I have a crucial question here to finesse. Are these two glazing their employer right now? Can you give me the real truth?
No, I see their point. The only issue for me is this kickoff event. Okay, now I understand we had lock-in before. We have the kickoff event now. Why not just make teams earn it the same way for both splits? Why do we have to do this 3 groups into single elim BO3 to go to a Masters event? I don't really see that as insane as if you had to play a whole season to get there. It's not earning it the same way, and I don't think it's putting in the same amount of work for teams as well. and it's so early into the year as well that you would give teams time to adapt and adapt and adapt and adapt. You could still have the same system. You still have the group stage system that you have already from the split 1 and split 2. I just think there's no need for this kickoff event. Just do split 1 Masters, split 2 Masters, and then whoever made, and then maybe add an LCQ in there. Then you do champs. But the Sliggy one is the Sliggy format is just clears. It just literally clears. But it makes it so I think they start earlier. Like they start the tournaments in January, I think, like mid-January or something, as opposed to like mid-February.
Yeah. And that's fine from next year onwards. They just couldn't do that this year because of VCT China launching.
Yeah, but why do we have to do a kickoff event? Is there a reason for that?
I think the reason is this year that so it condenses it massively compared to doing a round robin, right? So it only takes up, I think it's 3 weeks or something, instead of, if you did a round robin, it would take, I mean, if you did like a proper round robin, it would take like 10 weeks or something. So it would be way longer. But if you did, in theory, you might be able to push it all down the road and have champs way later in the year. But one of the other problems with that is that if you keep that format going to 2027, it takes too much time because you have 14 teams instead of having 11 like we do this year. And also you end up pushing champions down to where it overlaps with worlds. Yeah. And that's one of the other like big problems is that if you, at some point, if the community is particularly bothered by this to the point where Riot decide to make some changes, one of the changes that you might end up seeing is that the season actually starts in like November. And then you have a small Christmas break, and then do you see what I mean? So you actually instead of pushing champs later, so it interacts with Worlds, which they're never going to do because Worlds is like their biggest possible event for Riot. Then you'd have to kick the season earlier on, so you're starting the 2027 season in 2026, but like late.
Last year it was lock-in, then Tokyo, then champs, right? Yep. And sorry, then LCQ, then champs.
Yeah.
See, I just feel like the events, like that first event needs to be, like the slot just needs to be earned. And I don't think a kickoff event does that, nor does like lock-in from last year. So they fixed that to some extent by making it like how little it was. But I think they can still get that same amount of space within the year to do a like split 1, then Masters, and then split 2, then Masters.
Yeah.
If you remove LCQ.
Yeah, I mean, this is where... This is where I've got the bloody spreadsheets about this as well.
I'm losing valuable memories.
Fair enough.
I have forgotten the time I lost my virginity, and now I only know about the 2024 schedule. Thank you, Josh Wilkinson.
Okay, but do you want to talk? The kickoff format, though, is nuts. We should talk about that, because EG only need to win 2 games to be able to make it to Madrid.
Can you guys stop taking my goddamn segues? This is ridiculous. And yet, yes, at EG, they only need 2 wins for the kickoff to make Madrid. All right, let's talk about it. I have to, just in general, one of the things that, all right, now you're going to get me fired up about the fucking formats. Here we go. But the one thing in general that I hate that they do over and over and over year after year, whether it's with challengers or with the primary league here, way too much weight is thrown onto what happened the previous year when they also have 5 months of downtime. And it's ridiculous. It's the same thing with challengers, where there's all these teams that have none of the same fucking rosters that are all getting these spots. And then I hated last year in challengers when all these teams carried over, even from stage 1 to stage 2.
I mean, they have no choice though, because of the top 11 or the 11 teams, right?
Yeah,
like someone was going to get that spot.
They need to have a bye because 11 is the stupidest number that you'll ever know. And then in 2 years' time, 13 is even dumber than that. So you again, if you guys do not have goldfish memory, bear in mind that 2 years from now you will all be complaining about the format again. You will all be complaining about it again because there are 13 teams and you cannot make a good tournament format with 13 teams. It's not possible. So like add it to your calendar, guys. Go and buy one of those calendars that you flip up on the wall, turn it to 2026, and add your little molding space in at the beginning of the year. I want to see the threads.
The round robin is the only good format for any of those weird number slots.
But then they take like 6 or 7 weeks to be able to make work, and that's a long time, and that's with you playing 2 matches a week.
Yeah, you know why they are doing this, where the last year's results matter. It's because we complained about it back when open qualifiers were a thing, and that was good back then. Remember when all these teams were fucking making it, winning international tournaments, and then coming back and having them play open qualifier?
That's because I was at home. We were chilling at home playing those games. Yeah, like I'm just waking up, brushing my teeth. I'm on my PC, like it's chilling. Like that's no problem. Now it's just like they want everything to be on LAN, so it's a lot more work has to be put into that. But yeah.
Do you think EG can make Madrid?
Yeah, I fucking hope they do.
Absolutely.
That'd be so funny. What?
I mean, yeah, I think 2 games. I mean, it's pretty realistic that they can. I mean, it's not.
It has to be 2 wins in a row though, as well. Because if they lose and then win,
right,
they have to play like way more, and then they'd have to win at least another couple of times.
Right.
But they still got jogging though, man. They got this.
Yeah, I mean, the roster's definitely not bad by any means. I mean, has some like nerd figured out how this is all being seeded? Like, is there any way to know who they're going to be playing against? Yeah, so it's just
they said that they would put them into
waiting,
pools. I imagine they will have one team from the bottom pool, but also we don't know which pool G2 is going to be put into. Like, what do you do with the team that wins Ascension? Do you say we don't have any data on them, so we put them in the middle pool, like we see them completely average? Or do you say we don't have any data on them, they must go at the bottom? Like, what do you do there?
Use Ludwig Tarek as because the challengers team is going to win, and you just use that as proof.
So they're seeded number 2 behind EG. They're the
should
number
be
2
above
team.
the teams that they beat at Ludwig Tarek.
Genius.
Genius. Yeah, I mean, I think they've got a pretty good shot coming into a fresh season. No one really knows what's going on with the other teams. They have to win 2 in a row.
You guys are trolling. They're gonna beat fucking NRG Loud or fucking Leviatán.
Bro, what if they seed it? Okay, hold on. But what if they try and do some seeding?
This is so funny because I know the groups. It's so funny.
Like, in my brain, I'm just imagining a world where they're playing against MIBR, and then the second game they're playing against, I don't know, 100 Thieves, and then they make it like some shit like that.
But if they play against MIBR would have to beat somebody. Like that.
No, and the
first round they play against a team that's already won a game.
Yeah, that's a good point. So they can't play. Well, they could play against MIBR,
but don't write them off already.
Is it likely? Is it?
I mean, no matter what, they're gonna have to be one hard team.
Right.
Yes. Yeah.
Right.
Which does make it more difficult, and probably the hard team is going to be in the single elim portion, where you only get one shot. So I don't think it's that likely. I think more likely EG kind of steals a spot in that single elim that a better team could have had.
I mean, dude, I'm not going to take credit for what Sliggy said, but dude, just do BO1 groups and then do BO like double elim.
Oh, you don't want that, bro. You don't want that. You give them the ability to run BO1 one time, bro, and then every single group stage from now to eternity is going to be best of 1. And
I'm worried about the Swiss system. The Swiss system that they've said is happening at Madrid. Did they say Madrid, right? For groups? They said that there was Swiss happening at some point during the year. They've already announced it, but I can't remember when it was. Dude, but if it's Swiss BO1s... Ooh.
Listen, man, I'm just watching. This is going to be a good time for me. I don't give a shit. I don't care.
Bullshitting on the outside from the ivory tower. That's what's up.
It's so nice.
That's what's up. All right, let's keep talking about EG, but now we're actually just going to break down all the Americas teams as we're about to head into the kickoff, rank them, figure out what's going on. Evil Geniuses, all right, they've kind of last second gotten this roster together after their players were in contract negotiations, locked in EG jail forever, which I'm going to assume also had annoying ramifications on Potter and Jojimo trying to figure out what the fuck they were going to do with the roster the whole time, who was going to be staying, etc., at least for some amount of time. But they have finally gotten at least, the old verbal agreement roster where they have Apoth, who was playing on their secondary team last year and was going to be their sub if Demon One couldn't go to Tokyo last year.
I thought it was reformed.
Yeah, it was
reformed. That reformed?
It was reformed,
it was reformed? All right. Well, I just spread misinformation online. Apoth was on the secondary team, though. And then they have Nature, who's traveling with 100 Thieves, and a bunch of other teams. He was going to be on that initial rumored C9 team before the Vanity Corps joined. And then Superman, who's been on FaZe for a minute. And Derek, who was removed from 100 Thieves and was looking for a team. So, I mean, some good names for sure. I mean, I'm curious to see what
is this?
Supermen can do.
What are we these journalists out here? This looks like an actual roster announcement.
Yeah,
press
really
release.
does.
Like,
It actually
it
does. No, if you didn't say that, I would literally think this is already announced.
Yeah, I thought it just got announced when I was like, okay.
Let's just
but yeah.
assume it's announced.
Yeah. I mean, it is announced,
Yeah.
but you know. All right, what are we feeling about this team? Mid, low mid, surprise banger. What?
Are you saying in
started with mid
comparison?
and then you went down to low mid? Like,
Are you saying in comparison
break.
to like the NRGs and the Levs?
Just compared to the field. Compared
I mean,
to NRG
yeah,
and
mid.
MIBR.
Like what?
Just right in the mid.
Yeah, for sure. That's a compliment too. Like that's, none of like half. No, because think about it.
Justify that.
Well, yeah. Okay. So none of the is APOTH. You said. Well,
Nature, Superman, Derek.
and
yeah. I
Jogga
mean,
Ball.
half these guys haven't even played at tier 1 in so long.
yeah.
So the fact that they're at this level with this much at stake, and having a buy on top of that, it's like, I don't know. We'll go with mid at best, we'll say.
Is APOTH going to be playing the Sentinel for this team?
I
And
don't know.
Superman's going to be on smokes? Because
yeah,
I really
must be,
liked
right?
APOTH on smokes,
Yeah,
but
he was
I
really
guess I don't think Superman's going to be moving off.
Well, it
that
depends.
role,
If
is
they
he?
have like Viper, then
Yeah. I mean, if they're going to run double smokes comps, then I guess Nature would pick it up.
yeah.
But yeah, it feels like if everyone was playing the best we've ever seen them play, this could be a competitive roster.
Yeah,
But
this
that's
is
not
like
how things
life
work in
games.
reality.
Multiple life games are needed for sure.
Yeah. They've got some players like Derek's year last year was real sad to watch, actually. But I'm hoping that
I'm gonna defend Derek for a
he can
sec.
pick it up.
Okay, and not just because he's my friend, but honestly, people remember him for that last game, the last LCQ game versus Sentinels, right? And he got absolutely shit on. But before that, he actually had an overall good individual season. They just sucked. I think he did.
It definitely, at the very least, it was not as good as he was the previous year. He was having so much impact
Okay, that's
on the
fair, I
first 100
guess.
Thieves year.
But I think they
When he was,
also
like, the
made
clutch
events
guy
enough for
and
you
all
to
that.
see that.
I guess that's true.
And I think he had a live tournament as well. I mean, he had that
yeah.
LCQ tournament where he
LCQ.
clutched like
It-
a
it
record
was-
times. He was
it
never
was
going to be able
after
to
that.
do
He's never
that
letting this down.
regularly.
It wasn't just the clutch thing. He was just significantly better the previous year. And I don't necessarily put that all on him. I think he was suffering from the same problem last year that the whole team was, which was that, or like a mental problem where they had
Mid-syndrome?
all just lost their confidence entirely. But I mean, Derek is a player that I would love to see return back to the form he was in previously. He was super fucking good. And if he does, it would be significant for the team. But
These are all players that I could see just like with the classic old EG, nothing to lose, fucking house money, blah blah blah. They're a budget roster, nobody gives a shit. Like they could definitely do some of the stuff that like you're really pushing for if you need this team to like make a Madrid or something like that. I could definitely see it, but they're definitely not a long term.
If there's any event they can make, it's this one.
right.
Yeah.
Because other times they're gonna have to play full seasons. Like this is they have to honeymoon, they have to do that. And I think like these 5 players might be like decent candidates to go for that with this environment. I feel like, especially like Derek, Superman, APOTH, people. Jogamo doesn't give a fuck anymore, and he's already proven himself. Like there's no care for them. I think at this point. They're on EG for Christ's sakes. Like
I'm kind of confused. Like, how have we got to a point? All right, just to set the stage, EG's sister team, the secondary team, was apparently doing really well in scrims and stuff like that. We saw them play an off-season event where they didn't do very well afterwards. But from all reports, they were doing like they were a pretty competitive team, and yet EG lost their main team because they tried to put them in, sell them out to other people or force them to take a 50% pay cut. And yet we've ended up with a team that doesn't really resemble that sister team at all. wouldn't that just be the most default option? Would be to go with a roster that kept a lot of the synergies of that secondary team that had been playing together all last year. Screwface isn't IGLing with them.
Do you think these guys are making logical decisions over there?
Well, I mean, no, but also if you were just going to make the cheapest decision, wouldn't that also include carrying on a lot of those players?
Yes,
you have to remember what their plan was, right? The plan was, okay, let's release they released the reserve roster first because they thought they were leaving, and then they're like, okay, well, we got to sell all these other motherfuckers that just won us a championship or hope that they take a pay cut, and at that point, all these reserve guys are free. They're gone. You think they're coming back? No way. They just played a whole year in the reserve jail, and they're not coming back to get jailed up again for another 2 years. No shot.
Did you get jailed for 2 years with EG? I mean, 2 years?
You never know. It's
to
a
be
risk.
Fair, it is
it's
a franchise
risk.
spot, though. I mean, I think some of them would have come back. I just genuinely don't think they were asked to come back.
It has been.
I think they just said, Potter, create
decisions.
another lineup. That's honestly what I think happened.
It does feel like it. I just entirely reject the beginning of that statement, Bala, where you're like, EG's plan. What? It's like, dude, they have. Dude, I don't know if
dude, at the beginning of
do
the
they have a
offseason,
plan other than save money?
At the beginning of the offseason, their plan was fucking malicious, bro. You cannot they were like, oh, we're gonna ask these guys to take a pay cut, and then we're gonna not let them look at anything for other teams, like. And eventually they'll have to take the pay cut because everybody else was signed rosters. Like, it was malicious as fuck.
There was a plan. That was the only one. It's a pretty shitty one. It definitely didn't really work out. All right. I don't know if there's... yeah, go on.
No.
Oh, no, I was going to move on because I don't know if there's much else to really say about this EG roster.
There isn't.
Exactly, which is why we're going to get to the one that we're going to talk about for 45 minutes. 100 Thieves. They'll be different, and surely they'll be. The fans will finally rejoice at the end of the season when they qualify for the Masters tournament, right, guys? So just the off-season recap. Mike has gone back to the assistant coach. They brought in Zix, who was the assistant coach for EG when they won champions. Stellar, the previous IGL, was removed. Boostio, the new IGL. Derek, the previous initiator, removed. EU called up from M80 and Challengers to play for this squad. Better than last year on paper in terms of the roster, I'm going to assume is the feeling, but is it enough to finally take them over the finish line and finally make their ruthless fans happy?
No.
Nope.
The reason that I say that is because I've lost confidence in this team, and I'm hoping that Boostio can help them find it again, but it's not just a confidence thing, right? When I watch 100 Thieves play, it is so much less... dude, structured gets thrown around as such a buzzword. Dude, I don't hate 100 Thieves. This is not me with a personal vendetta against them. But when I watch them play, it feels like when they're trying to get into an area, they just kind of run in. It's when you look at other teams and they've got some kind of setup for how they want to approach things, and when I look at the 100 Thieves rounds last year and a little bit of what they were doing during this offseason, though the sample size is tiny, it feels really chaotic and basic, I suppose, would be the words I would use to describe it. I don't think it matters what the roster looks like on paper unless they can fundamentally readdress their approach to thinking about the game. I think that is the side of things that has been missing for a while.
I think one thing that's going to help them, having Boostio as opposed to Stellar, and I think Asuna had a clip or he said something about this where he felt they were more structured last year as opposed to this year with Boostio. And I think that just opens up a world where the players will kind of get to play their own games, sort of, and not so much worry about the beginning, middle, end of a strat and just following that strat. And I think that you might see more playmaking from a lot of these players who are, like you guys said, talented, just don't have the synergy. But I think that synergy will come and that chemistry will come if those players are able to make those kinds of plays. So in that sense, I think adding Boostio is a perfect call. And I also like one thing about him as an IGL is he does not ever bait. This guy's not about baiting. He just runs in. He literally runs in and trades, and his aim's insane. So his overall play is good, and obviously he's still clearly informed just based off the offseason event. But I think that switch in style from really, really structured, which may have confined some players' ability to like be their best to now being a little bit more free flowy, they should be better. Now I don't know if they're gonna qualify for anything, but they should be better.
So that was so to be clear, Finesse, your like evaluation of 100 Thieves playstyle last year, you felt that they were a very structured team because
Yeah,
that
they were
was,
just slow, stagnant, and then
because yeah, that was like the primary narrative about their team all of last year. And then this year Austin said this about they're going to be looser, and the reaction was like they were so loose last year, and
no,
that's
they
why
just
they
looked
lost.
that way. It looked that way because they were just getting shit on. But they were getting picked apart playing that structured playstyle. But when you watch their VODs, they were clearly they had set game plans that I think Boostio will change up and let players play a little bit more free and loose instead of just full microing the entire mid round or even like having it pre-planned before the game even starts. So maybe Mike's doing it with Stellar or whatever last year. I'm not saying that's exactly what happened. I'm just saying, just based off how I'm seeing them play this year, just based off the offseason events, they look slightly overall more free in terms of being able to make plays. Asuna is making more plays. Even Bang is making more plays. So, and Cry was just playing. This guy's like Chamber on Breeze or Lotus, sorry. So like they're just getting to play, and I feel like that's what Busio is going to allow for them to do. So this is the ideal world that I am living in. I don't know if it'll actually come true, but that's going to be when you're going to see 100 Thieves at their best, when I see all the players kind of slowly activated just on their own.
I'm surprised that Asuna says that they were quite structured last year, because I felt like looking at them, they were pretty lost. Like, it's one thing to have a game plan, but if you don't have a reaction to what your opponent throws at you, like if you don't have it's okay to have a game plan for the round and have a structure for what your approach is going to be. But if you don't also have protocols in place for like what you're going to do when you get punished in the face, like, I don't know, you could throw out a bunch of different examples, but you're going for an A split on Ascent, for example, and somebody tries to flash peek out through the mid smoke. I don't know, whatever the example would be. They just looked lost in those situations.
I agree. Their mid round was rough.
Which to me was like, that was where I thought that they were lacking that kind of like protocol and structure, because when things got a bit, I mean, maybe that's just what Busio is going to try to instill in them, is an ability to adapt and improv in those situations rather than relying on building out protocols for everything. But they looked mad lost and mad timid last year, and that's where I hope that Busio can give them the good old fucking, like, I am a world champion, I know how to win, and instill some more confidence in the team.
That was what was killing me watching them last year, was the lack of confidence, and so many so many moments where you're watching these post-play situations and players just scared to swing for another guy. They're taking too long, that kind of thing.
I would be honest, these guys are going to need a strong start. Like, there's maybe two other teams I can think of that in this franchise NA league, at least, or America's league, that absolutely need a strong start going into the year. Making Madrid would just be insane for them, because at that point it's just the players are feeling confident, in themselves, in the team and stuff. So if there's one team that needs that boost, it's this one.
I completely agree. This is a team that I said it before. Like, I feel like they've all gotten into the habit of losing, and that's really hard to break out of. And the good thing is they're going to have significant changes. You hear Austin talking about in this clip. You have just the actual like team changes by themselves being enough to like hopefully shake something up in the team and get them to break all these habits that they've been making in the last year, maybe year and a half, whatever. That sort of stuff is like very important. The fact that you have many different things that are changing at the same time to be able to break that sort of stuff. The problem I see though is that it's not just structure, it's not just all this, it's literally individuals too. Like, Cryo right now is not a player it's not the player that you picked up, right? There's a lot you have to build back up with him. Asuna's the same way, right? There's a couple pieces here that literally need to be built back up as individuals, and it's going to take success. So that's why I completely agree that they need like a super hot start.
It's funny you said that, is because I said on my stream that these players, if they're hoping that Busio is going to come in and fix all their problems, he's not. He's going to do the best that he can in terms of the mid round and his overall play as an individual player, but they're going to have to step up. Like, the other players are going to have to step up and also be able to mid round, like Victor and Crashies did for me. You're going to have to be able to up your game to that point where you're able to have enough faith, whatever it takes. Watch VODs, get ideas from other players, whatever it takes, but just practice that stuff in scrims, so then you're able to then do it in a match server under pressure and do it second nature almost. And if they start practicing those habits, and hopefully they are, then players like Bang, players like Cryo, Asuna, they need to be more vocal in those mid rounds, not just Boostio fucking calling the beginning, middle, end. You know, you need help. I needed help. So I know from experience that it's not just going to be Boostio fixing this team.
Yeah. To bring things back to your comment about 100 Thieves needing a hot start, in terms of the teams in the league, I feel like 100 Thieves have the least chance of having a hot start, though, because they've had so little time, as far as I'm aware, to actually work with Boostio. When he was in contract jail, he wasn't allowed to be like scrimming with them the entire time, right? They only started practicing
But neither
a couple of
were
weeks ago.
Ethan, Demon 1.
Yeah, but I think that team has
Team's just
more
insane.
talent.
Yeah.
I think that might be a bit of an unfair, but also I think it would be quite reasonable to say that NRG might not be at their peak immediately,
yeah.
right?
But
Like they might take a while to grow into it, but I don't think it'll matter for that team, but it will
Well,
for
see,
100
what
Thieves.
to you is like a lot of time? Or because you're just comparing it to other teams' time period?
Well,
Like how much they had?
I mean, you look at the situation that 100 Thieves was in last year, it was actually kind of similar to Sentinels. They were like a team that had a lot of expectations that had fallen way underneath that and looked a little lost in their approach and had to kind of rebuild fairly dramatically their approach to the game for this year. And Sentinels took the offseason super seriously, scrimming extremely hard, doing a lot of practice for these offseason matches as well. And you could see rapid development as they shifted their comps, as they got more comfortable with John Cutie. And it took them, I don't know, maybe 2 months or something to get to a spot where they actually
but
looked really capable.
I think about it.
I think
this
that's
way,
quite
though.
normal.
Like, for example, Sentinels, they have to rebuild a little bit, but they still have the same coaching structure. They still have a lot of the same players. They have people who have played together. 100 Thieves feels like they have different coaching structures. They have different IGL. Yes, Sentinels is the same way with the IGL, but it's because of the mentality, because of everything that they have to work on. It's like a full rebuild. And compared to NRG, like they've got everything still. They
Just have less to work on than 100
right,
Thieves do,
exactly.
yeah.
There's a lot less. But with that said, like they still have
But-
like a month here.
Like,
Like, this is-
I think the field is only even because of the changes that Riot has made to the map pool, to all these other things. These changes being made, I think, evens out the field a little bit more than you guys might think. Just because of
that's fair.
time, you know? Time isn't everything. At the end of the day, you can get your team in shape in 2 weeks if you're, you know, a good enough team.
I mean, you've also worked with the same core for
Fair enough.
almost the beginning, man.
To be fair,
Like,
I wouldn't know for sure because I've never played with the 100 Thieves guys. Like, I don't know how long it would actually take them. But to me, it's not that crazy to be able to like create a comp, work on it, and like, in my opinion, a good month of practice, which is I think exactly what they have.
that's about what they got, yeah.
You should that cannot be an excuse. Let me put it to you that way, because everyone else is going to have the exact same amount, if not like a little bit more, and it's not going to make a drastic difference in play styles or like maybe even reps just because of the Riot changes.
And if they don't make it in Madrid, then they've got some more downtime before they actually hit the stage, so they should be fine.
If
by
they
the
suck
time get
again,
there.
then they're done in June.
Yeah. Yeah.
Try again.
I mean, talking about the hot start, should they have... Okay, I guess it's a two-part question, but how do you feel about the teams playing some of these off-season events when they don't have a lot of time? Like, Sen did that to themselves last year with the Ludwig Tarek Invitational. They played it, got owned, and then they started off rough with that. There was already some doubt, it felt like, within the camp.
They didn't know what the fuck they were doing though. Back
right. I mean,
they didn't have any clue what the map pool was going to be. They were literally lost in the sauce
They were
already.
playing just random comps. They weren't even playing comps that were going to help them for the season.
Yeah.
They're playing like,
but,
what were they playing? Jet Yoru or something? Jet Neon on Pearl or something like that?
But I think, speaking, I guess the comparison I'm drawing is how that already creates this massive, like, blowback from fans, community, all that shit that they start receiving super early on. And with a team like 100 Thieves, where I think confidence has been a struggle, and now you have, you know, people are going crazy because of that result.
I actually think it's
You've got to be
already
able to
been-
block that out.
The
You've
narratives
gotta be
have
able to.
been spun already. Like the community has decided that Asuna is the problem in 2024. they've come the community have come together and
They
all
just decided that. I
that's the
decided
new
that 2 years
narrative.
ago.
You
got
were
it from
way
you.
too early.
Nah, I don't. I mean, obviously, I would say it's a waste of time for a team like Cloud9, who's already previously attended off-season events already. I even said this on my stream. I was like, I don't see why Cloud9 is here. I do, however, understand a little bit of why 100 Thieves would be there. Just to just play on LAN together, you know, just to get that sort of edge, just to feel it out together in a match setting. And I think that was fine. I think I understand that to some degree. The C9 thing, I don't know about all that.
I would say that it's important for them to have done this to just feel how it is, number one, and also give themselves a baseline so that when they improve in practice, they will feel that, right?
Yeah.
And that's important when you're talking about specific like mental things. Like that is important. When you're talking about everything else, like
and even just getting
individual
used
form,
to
whatever.
the way Boostio calls, like, you know,
I think that's
compare it, you know
important
what I mean?
for all the practice leading up to kickoff.
Yeah. So I don't think it's that big a deal at the end of the day. I just think for C9 it may have been just a slight waste of time because like what are you even doing? Like you got your off seasons in a while ago. So
Right.
yeah.
I mean, C9, they started with a good off season. Things were looking pretty hot. Then, yeah, this result wasn't as strong as the others. And they were on a wild fucking bender of traveling around the world. They were going to every country to play Valorant against whatever middle of the road teams were there for local tournaments.
I mean, and their comps, like they played Deadlock on Ice. Ain't no way, bruh.
Yeah, they perhaps were getting a little bit silly in this Ludwig Tarek Invitational.
Didn't they swap around who was even playing the Deadlock?
Yes, yes they did.
Yeah, but the good thing is the tier 2 teams here got to, not tier 2, but you know what I mean. Like these teams got to shine, and I like that because it kind of just shows how close that level is between these teams, and how good these players actually are on Moist and Oxygen.
Yeah.
But C9 are currently... Dude, I keep thinking back to Vanity's tweet about the schedule where he said Valorant players would win first place in the war against working. And it's just such a funny tweet. And it's exactly the opposite of how he's approached in this offseason. He's just taken his team to every event possible, had them flying around the world, playing anywhere they possibly can to try and get them, I guess, in shape for the season. They look like a fun team to follow. They look fun.
They'll look good. I think they'll be good. I don't know about... that's another team I think that will need a strong fucking start, similar to 100 Thieves. These two teams for me are right up there, right next to each other in terms of like, you just need that kickstart to feel that confidence going into like the split. And even the kickoff event, actually making it and being able to play at the Masters, it's just more experience for the players, Oxy specifically, and even Whippy. And then, you know, building from there.
I think for like in comparison, like this is a team that I'm much more confident in having a hot start. I don't think it matters as much as 100 Thieves. But yeah, like they've played all these off-season events. Like I can't imagine that they won't.
Fair.
Like this is like the old school way to do it, right? Just like grind out as many officials as you can possibly play. And I know a lot of people who have thought that way, and that gives you the experience to just kind of roll through these things without really worrying too much about, you know, all the different comps you could play, about the meta, blah, blah, blah. Like you get to be a very flowy team. And
the crazy thing, sorry, continue.
Oh, go
I was interrupt you. I was going to say the crazy thing about this off season or like this season coming up compared to last year that I think no one has mentioned for some reason is the no roster lock rule. Like, last year, you were locked into your roster. Doesn't matter how bad or good somebody is doing. You are stuck with this motherfucker till the year ends. Doesn't matter who it is. And then now it's a complete opposite. It's like any player can take your spot. There's so many good players that are teamless. There's so many good players that are in the tier 2 that are, you know, would be jump at a chance of playing franchising, especially with some of these tier 1 players. So it's like, I think that's also relevant to what we were saying, Bala, about like these teams needing a hot start. Because like, you don't have that much time, if any. Like, once you start these matches, you gotta just win. You lose, you're actually fucked.
Yeah,
so
from a player's perspective,
yeah.
for sure.
And also, I mean, it's not like it's going to be difficult for orgs to replace people. None of these fucking tier 2 players are signed.
Yeah,
not
at all.
Just
I mean,
them at any time.
They're also like incentivized this year with the new two-way player rules and all that. Like
and these players will take the bare minimum. They will take the league minimum to play.
Absolutely.
So,
in terms of a team that would hate the death of Skye the most, is Cloud9 not up there? Like, having to run Vanity on Sova or Zephyr playing Sova for like, has Zeppa ever played Sova? Yeah, he's played 5 games ever of Sova, and I don't know when those were. They certainly weren't recently.
Yeah.
This has got to be one of the teams that is disliking this most recent.
They're
change
just
the
gonna have to
most,
adapt breach, right? Or sorry, not breach, fade or
I
Sova.
guess. Yeah. Yeah, playing more Fade might be possible, but I mean, Fade is not as useful on those maps.
Good thing for
Cypher's
them,
good.
they actually have an insane Yoru player, so in
Yeah.
Oxy,
Yeah.
so he can just interchange as much as he wants.
Yeah, I mean, do you guys is Oxy as good as Leaf? How do you guys think that? How do you feel about that?
I think
I
isn't
think
that a
this
bit
kid
of
is
an unfair
insane.
comparison? Because like
What?
Leaf was the second best. Leaf was like the second best player in Americas last year.
Listen, I'm trying to
And-
ask burning questions here,
Go on
Josh.
then.
I'm
Go
trying
on
to
then.
get. That's it. That was the burning question.
Well, it's like comparing one guy that's had a huge amount of success to a brand new rookie player. Like
Oxy almost beat Fnatic. Did Curry ever? Or not Curry? Curry was there though.
He
Who
almost
were we
did.
comparing him to?
Yeah, do you know who beat Fnatic?
Leaf. Did
Redgar.
Leaf ever beat Fnatic?
Is Redgar better than Leaf?
Yes. Yes, he is.
I mean, Redgar played Raider against you and he fucking toasted you, actually.
Wait, why are we bringing that up, bro? Why are we bringing up that one Haven game?
I forgot about that.
The one Haven game where these guys didn't even play the map, chose a troll comp, and beat us on our best map. That was disrespectful.
That was wild.
Oh shit.
That's all good. It is what it is. That was years ago.
Yeah, doesn't even hurt anymore.
What are we talking about? Skye or Leaf? Oh, right. Oxy versus Leaf. Yeah, he's a
Yeah.
rookie, but I think right now, like literally right now, entering into it, I think Oxy has potential to peak at the same level as Leaf.
We just don't know his ceiling, right?
Right.
Yeah.
But I think like 100%, like that is already possible. He could go all the way to like Demon 1 level, like that sort of thing, but we don't know. And I don't think he'll be able to do that with this team in particular.
I also think, I mean, the thing that Leaf was adding to the team a lot as well was an extremely good understanding of how to play comms, good like secondary calling as well.
Agent diversity, like
Yeah, huge amounts of agent diversity and ability to fill. So I think that Leaf offers a lot of stuff in addition to that. But in terms of like raw, just Ulyss firepower, yeah, Oxy's looking cracked.
but why is this relevant anyways? Like this motherfucker's not even in the same core. Like is it just comparing? Is it just to like
Yeah.
feel
Yeah,
how-
man, it's
okay,
just
gotcha.
it's just drawing. I mean, the 2-star duelists. I mean, you got to listen. You have to. What is there to talk about in Valorant if not just fucking yapping about the
Yeah,
star
you're
duelists
right,
and who's
you're
better
right.
than who? That's
I
all
was
you
just
do.
I was just saying if there was like an underlying like
No.
reason behind it too, because that's also very interesting. But
No, I was just hitting you with a fucking ESPN first.
We'll
take
see. When
ass
we see
question.
G2 versus C9, we'll know the answer.
Yeah.
Real. All right, let's move on to Leviatán. I mean,
baby.
all right. An interesting team for sure. Obviously, they made a lot of big roster moves. They brought in Osboss. Hey, that was pretty cool. They brought in Tex. Okay, that's an interesting one. Bringing in
Cool
a
moves.
guy from NA. And then they won that one off-season tournament. I forget the name of it. Wait, was that the Superdome? Or was that something? Yeah, that was the Superdome. They won. Don't laugh, Kurt. There's nothing funny about that. They won the Superdome. And then, despite that, they decided to bench Noswar and bring in Calm, release him from the prisons, the dungeons of EG.
I think that's so bizarre.
I mean, Calm is obviously a fantastic player, but is it worth the fucking mental headache that you've provided to the rest of your players and just going above them and making the boardroom executive decision to subvert what the team was intending on doing?
Me when I signed the best player in Americas and he deliberately wants to play with Noswar and then I cut Noswar and make him annoyed right before the season begins.
There's a reason the Bucks have fucking Giannis's brother playing. Like, you keep the star happy.
Something must
you know?
have happened, though. I mean,
I
surely,
don't think
right?
it did, actually. I mean, there's been some reporting around what's going on, and it's been a bit weird. But management were talking to Com a long time prior, trying to get him onto the team to build this, like, multinational super team. And Com was just stuck in jail. And they thought, oh, well, that's the end of it. And then they realized towards the end that Com was available. And I think it was just opportunism. I think it was just we
Oh,
have
are
a
you-
chance to be able to
you're-
do this.
You're saying management made this decision, not players?
Yes, I believe
Yeah, it was
management
just
made the decision.
Yeah, it's opportunistic management decision making.
That would never happen on any team I'm playing for.
No, we know,
Ain't
bro.
no fucking way.
Yeah.
No chance a random player, doesn't matter who it is, just appears and starts playing a scrim with me without me, like, having a say in whether he should be playing or not. That's crazy.
Yeah, I think they must have discussed it with the team to some degree, but it seems like Aspas was not in favor of that. He had wanted to play with Nozwa and was sad to see him leave. And there was some beef that had previously happened between King and Nozwa. There was some like rumors swirling about that, but the reporting on it has been spotty and kind of difficult to pass anything through. But I think it reads like it was just opportunistic from the management, which is bizarre.
It's hard for me to believe that it wasn't triggered by something that had happened on the team, because it's so hard for me to believe that like the players just had no idea or no input on whether this is okay to do or not.
Yeah, it at the very least, it seems like it's in the gray area. Like they did not come out and say that, it's clearly not like a full team. Everybody got together and decided to do this. It doesn't come across that way at all.
Yeah.
It's existing somewhere in the middle at the very least.
Am I mad? I feel like I'm going heavily against the prevailing wisdom here, but I don't think it's that much of an upgrade. I think that Nozwa was an extremely good player last season, and the advantages that you're going to be getting by adding Com, who's obviously fantastic, looked amazing when he was playing last year, and innovating as well, playing Sova on a bunch of maps. But I think that the advantages you're going to get there are possibly just lower than the pre-existing synergy that you already had, and the fact that that Nozwa is good playing with Mazzino and King, and that he's got a large agent pool that's going to be really helpful for you. I don't see that it's that much of an upgrade.
This is the same thing as Derek gone and EIU in. It's the same comparison. It's like, why even do it? It makes no sense. But that's why I'm saying, like, I think something absolutely had to have happened for this kind of change to occur. Because player for player, who fucking cares? It's a similar skill level. It's not a significant change.
That's what I was saying. It's like a slight upgrade, if anything.
Yeah.
And I personally think that that's okay for GMs to try to make those decisions, especially when I don't know what's going on behind the scenes in terms of salary or whatever. This team has dropped a fucking bag this offseason, and that's very clear with Aspas and probably now on Com, but Com obviously trying to get the fuck away from EG, so it's like slightly different. I think it's okay to make these types of decisions. I do think it's important to keep your team on board, but like when opportunities like this arise, I think you have to be able to make the quick decisions, and if they make it wrong, then you'll pay. But I don't see this going drastically wrong unless something has happened, and it's very difficult for internal team environments to get away from stuff like that, where all of a sudden you're looking at like this new guy who's coming in and
let's just make shit up. NZR just got into a huge fight.
Yeah.
With like 3 of them.
I heard NZR actually headbutted King in the middle of the game.
Exactly. I heard the same thing actually.
Yeah. From 2 different sources.
Do you guys remember the story about, what was it? It was the Leviatán game. It was like last round or something. They were coming, or I think it was Cloud9. They were coming back against them. And we got in the interview, a timeout was called where they finally won the round. And King called the timeout, called something crazy. He was like, let's go, let's do whatever. It was a crazy strat. And then NZR was just like, in the interview after, he said, I just told him, why the fuck would we do that? And we just ran the regular thing and won. He's like, I mean, we never did that in practice. Why the fuck would we do that?
I've never seen that.
Dude, Nozwa was a former IGL. He used to IGL for FURIA. And one of the funniest interviews that we ever had last year in Americas was that we had an interview with Owner, where Owner was like, I don't really believe in anti-stratting at all. We just stick to our own game. And we were like mind blown by this. And then Nozwa came on like 2 weeks later for an interview, and he was like, yeah, I've been trying to get the team to do more anti-stratting stuff, but they're pretty resistant to it. And like, so there may well have been some tensions there between King Mazzino and Nozwa that were bubbling under the surface. It's just so hard to tell like what's actually going on inside the team.
All right. All speculation aside, just looking at the roster still,
They're
are
cracked.
we regarding them? Is this super team status?
Close enough.
No. I don't think they. Okay, I have a very strict definition for super team. I don't think this counts as a super team particularly, but I think they're damn good. Like, they're looking really strong.
Yeah, I agree. I think you need 3 world-class players, proven world-class players for it to be like that. And I think with Calm, you
Yeah,
can
maybe they do.
technically make the argument that, with
3 out of 5.
King, Aspas, Calm, it's a pretty insane trio. And then you have Tex, who's just been playing insane, Mazinho, who's playing very consistently. So I'd say the closest, besides Energy, I would say it's the second best team NA on
I think
paper.
for me, a super team always has to be like multiple different like places coming together in agreement. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like big 3 type of thing where it's like they're coming from all sorts of different teams to create this behemoth, not just like off-season moves.
Loud, EG, and Leviatán. That's
Yeah.
what's happening here
Yeah.
to some degree. I mean, it's
Yeah.
only 3 out of the 5. I think Tex and Mazzino push it away from being a true super team, but this is their year to prove that they are both super team level players as well. Tex for sure, I think, is hungry to do that and has the talent to do that as well, especially on a role where he's going to be able to flex his aiming muscles more. I mean, if this team doesn't implode and they don't make top 2 and they don't make basically every international event,
Yeah.
it's going to be a bit of an underperformance, as weird as that is to say, unless they get like randomly upset in the single elim for Madrid or something.
No, yeah. I think NRG and Lev are not allowed to lose.
They're banned
At
from
least in
losing.
terms of qualifying for the events.
Yeah.
All right. Let's move on to Loud, who obviously,
I'll shut
housed
up.
Ospas for a long time. For a
Anything I say will be
long
used
time.
against me.
I was gonna send it to you for the first question.
Dude,
I'll-
what,
I'll-
man?
I'll-
What do you
I'll put
want?
Josh
They're the
in hot
best. They're
water.
the greatest of all time.
I
Nothing.
mean,
No one's
they're an
touching
S-tier
Loud,
team.
man.
We all know they're an S tier team, but okay, in the most political way possible that gets you in no hot water whatsoever.
I'll be in hot water, bro.
I am just curious about your very polite and respectful thoughts on the team without Ospas. From your perspective on the outside watching, but also, like theoretically, if you decided to still play this year, and you were competing and you were going up against Loud, how much of a difference is this going to make for the squad?
I think massive, right? And that's giving all credit to the rest of the guys. Like, that's giving credit to SatHack, to his, basically everyone that's still there. Or sorry, yeah, everyone that's still there. But the thing is, Aspas is just that good, right? I have that much of a stock on that player that losing him isn't. He's not a player that's replaceable, right? So obviously, by objectively looking at it, you can't say that this team will be as good as they were last year. How can you just say that? I don't think you can, objectively. So based off of that, when I look at teams like Energy that are formed, when I look at teams that I live that are formed, how am I supposed to put Loud ahead of them? I can't. So that's why, to me, they're slightly gonna like a tier below that, and we'll see how they do. But again, we haven't seen. I have no scrim results from them. I don't know how they're playing. I don't know what their comps are or anything like that. So little information to go by. But yeah, I don't think they're going to be nearly as good without Aspas. Now I'm fucked.
If Loud had been playing last year with QCK as the duelist and they'd done everything else exactly the same, it's hard to believe that they would have been as good. It really is. I think the only way that you can justify putting Loud as still an elite tier team is that you have enormous amounts of faith that SatHack is going to be able to rebuild the entire way that this team functions. Like previously, they were loading a lot of responsibility and resources into Aspas and having him be a priority player. It was like Aspas and Les were the 2 people that you would see being put in positions to massively succeed in this team. And now I just don't think they're going to do that with QCK. They've spoken about the fact that they didn't want a player that was a direct replacement for Aspas. They are not going to try and put all of their eggs in the QCK basket and have him set up as like a star opper. I just don't believe it. But I don't see what the vision is. And I'm willing to give a lot of credit to Sadak that he's going to be able to come up with an interesting system for this team, but I don't know what the hell it's going to be. I can't think of how.
Oh yeah, I know
it's
it's gonna be
really
less
succeed.
to duelist. I'm on board.
Yeah,
You
maybe.
put less on Jet, I'll shut
Dude,
the fuck
maybe.
up right now. I'll be like, all right, you guys got that. Now we can see some real shit because I know how insane less is. So it's like, if you're capable of doing that, then obviously it's so unrealistic and it's never gonna happen. So yeah, I just don't know. I can't put them above NRG and Lev. Like, I just can't. Not yet.
I think it's interesting because the last 2 years they've obviously faced off-season changes with Pencata and Saucy leaving last year and whatever. But this year it's different in terms of what they've chosen to go for, right? Last year was a bunch of young players, build them up, kind of playing the same sort of system. Here, they've completely accepted the idea that they can't replace Aspas. And I think that's a good sign. With that being said, like, yeah, it's going to be tough to even figure out how to continue from there. But I think you're probably going to see them move away from a lot of the like meta defining stuff that they tried to do with Harbor Viper. I think they're going to try to play just a lot more solid in general. And
One thing I do like about them is the fact that they innovate so much, right? That's what's different about them.
Yeah, they do.
That no one else in NA has done to that extent. Viper Harbor, we directly stole that from them last year. And they were the only teams to do that. Before that, they were playing Gecko on Split. Like, no one had even thought about that. And that's the old Gecko. So it's like, they are not afraid to change up their comps, which will make them very, very unpredictable and hard to anti-strat. So for teams like NRG and coaches like Chet, who are heavy on anti-stratting, that will be very difficult to deal with. So in that sense, maybe they have a little bit more of an advantage in that sense. But
I just think the players that they have still, less Kawanzine, like those guys are insane. Kawanzine is fucking nuts, right? Like he's still very good and he still has room to grow. Tui's as well, like, yeah, he had some rough spots. I think that spoke a little bit more to the environment that they were in throughout the year than anything else. But he had the best harbor. Still, like, to my mind, he was still like the best harbor of the year. So these guys can still brag, and I think it's crazy not to think about them as contenders for these international tournaments and as contenders to win a split. Despite the fact that, yeah, I still put NRG, I still put Leviatán higher than them, but this is a team that will for sure still be very, very, very good. And
the weird thing about them is just that they've loaded the team with so many supportive elements compared to, or not even that, but they have a lot of supportive elements, and then they also have their star, like their biggest fragging players are playing roles where you can't always put them in position to succeed in a round. Like, you can't always ensure that Les is in the place to be able to influence the round when he's playing his current role. I mean, maybe you can if Chamber comes back into the meta, but it's more difficult than doing that with a duelist. And the same with Kawanzine. You can't always put Kawanzine in a place where he's going to be able to go crazy, especially with Skye not being as available. So they just have a very fundamentally different team to most other teams. They don't have the... They're going to have to rely much more on how they play off each other and trying to come up with unique ideas and unique compositions, I think. That, I mean, what do you think about potentially, like, if they started innovating a Chamber Cypher kind of meta?
Like I said, if they have that in their arsenal, which they've shown that they're capable of switching up comps like that, then by all means, like, they can definitely have some sort of an edge going into BO3s versus teams. But... yeah. That's just, you're relying on a surprise factor at that point. Like I said, Aspas was no surprise factor. You knew exactly what was coming, and it was still hard to stop.
Yeah.
I'm actually kind of scared in terms of like the innovation factor that they have. Yeah, they have the you know, they have the people to be able to do that sort of stuff, but the flexibility factor I feel like almost always came from Sadak, and I just like it's tough for him to constantly be that guy at this point.
Well,
right?
I mean,
QCK is going to add some flex factor.
Yeah, Quick has played everything at this point. I mean, he played duels for a super long time. He played a lot of Chamber too. I mean,
I'm actually curious. You think you will only see this guy on Duelist? Probably not, right? I think we're gonna see.
I don't think so. Even
he'll
on
be flexing
previous,
around a ton, I think.
Yeah, on previous Furia iterations over the past couple of years, there were times where he was playing like Jet and then other support agents, Chamber, other support agents. He was playing like Raze at times and then a support agent on a different
Remember
map.
that Tui's used to be a duelist as well before he joined his team to play Smokes.
Oh, that's right.
They could actually just completely crush our expectations of what roles people are going to be playing.
Yep.
They could be coming out playing whatever. It's really difficult to tell.
I mean, when Quick was playing Jet and all that, he was a fucking wild player. He was a really aggro.
The only
guy,
one we
but-
don't see, right? Changing his less just because he was world class at his role.
I guess.
Yeah,
Hound's in for
Yeah.
me as well. It's,
Yeah, true.
right.
Sova was
Yeah.
insane.
right. But the other three, you do have a lot of options
Yep.
as to what you want to do.
I have a question,
if you
though.
play Duelist.
I have a juicy question. What if Loud doesn't do well and Pancata is allowed to leave Sentinels? You think Pancata goes to Loud?
I think if they wanted to try to move Tui's into a different role, or possibly even less into a different role, then Pancata might actually be a really good pickup for them. But that's the kind of like mid-season adjustment that you would
Yeah.
see if they. The thing is though, Loud at this point, they must have been practicing for a while. Like they must know their own identity as a team by now. Not that I've heard anything about it, but they must have a good idea about whether or not they're going to be successful at the start of the season already.
I think
Pancata is just such a fucking... Dude, it's so annoying that every year we have a couple of players that are just getting screwed. Just sat on a bench somewhere,
Yeah.
not being able to play.
Yeah, I mean, I could certainly see that being it's certainly possible, but I guess at least in theory that takes away some of the flexibility, right? Just based on last year.
No, just have Pancata play full-time
sick.
Sentinel.
Yeah, like that.
Just have him play Cypher the whole time.
That's what I was getting at. You probably don't want that. You'd be
What- I mean-
sacrificing one of the flexible players, but individually, he is such a fucking demon that, you know.
unfortunately, though, like, where's the incentive for Sentinels to allow that to happen, right? They literally are competing against, like,
It's true.
in such a short,
Just
like,
being cool.
period. If
I'll
it
show
was
you
a-
the financial
guys.
documents where it says burning cash. That might be the incentive for them to try to get somebody off their salary. The guy that funds them, who owns that sushi restaurant and runs the VC firm,
I mean,
go
yeah,
into
it's
his
true.
restaurant, and order some fish, and tell him about how much money Pancata is just burning being sat on the bench.
Jesus, yeah. When you put it that way, I mean, Pancata, theoretically, depending on what happens with any of the three Brazilian teams, Pancata, you know, a juicy prospect. FURIA made a couple changes in the offseason. Digizine, who was wild on Duelist last year, no longer with the team for, you know, reasons outside of the actual gameplay, as far as I know and has been reported. And then Havoc, who was like a hot prospect that a bunch of teams were trying out, has ended up joining with Fury as well. We've seen the play in the offseason. MW's playing Duelist, and he was going pretty fucking crazy. It was giving me the flashbacks to Game Landers in 2020. So, you know, some potential here with Furia. Last year, they had that run at the beginning of the season where everybody felt like, you know, by everybody, I mean, you guys overrated them when I wasn't on, and then they fell off. So that happened. Feeling more confident or less confident about Furia this year than previously, or just pretty much at the exact same level? What are you thinking, Josh?
I think the Gamelanders comparison is absolutely perfect, because every time you look at the stats, MW's plus 30 and the rest of the team don't have thumbs. So it's exactly the same as when MW was playing Duelist for his previous teams. It's something to do with the way that MW plays and the rosters that he finds himself on, where he has such a... I don't know. I think he forces the team to play around him to such a high degree that no one else can manage to find their value when they play with this guy on Duelist. It's nuts to watch, because I know that Khalil is extremely talented, and I know that Havoc is extremely talented. The others I'm not as sure about, but like they should not be going, you know, -20 during their BO3s, while MW just is the only person getting any kills. They should be able to figure out a more balanced system. It looks like MW kills everybody, and the rest of them are just running around lost in some of these games when you watch them. So it's really unusual, what you get, because it really is. It's just a bit bizarre watching them.
I do think, I mean, I don't really have the inside information, but when I look at this team, I keep thinking the same thing. It's MW putting together the team, and it just hasn't really worked to his favor in the past, despite, you know, looking insane himself. With that being said, like, I'm not using the offseason to really even infer anything, because I think those games, they ended up having what, like some food poisoning at that India event and whatever, like, and it was also like them working on their coach for a few weeks or whatever. With that being said, I hate how the team has been put together. I just do. Like I just
That was honest.
it doesn't inspire any confidence, because I don't think, like, other than Havoc, like, it just seems that they're going back to playing with some of the people that they liked before, and that's the deal with MW over and over and over.
I mean, Liazzi's new though, right? Liazzi was previously playing for, like, I don't know. I didn't
He's
see
playing
this guy
for
very much.
the
Keats
Havon Liberty way back in the day. And then
Oh
he played with
shit! I
Keat.
forgot about
He
it.
went to Masters Berlin.
Oh man, I'd forgotten he even existed.
And
Havant
that's what I'm
Liberty
saying.
was-
He's in those circles. It's always people. It's
Yeah,
always in the
it's that same
fucking
group. And then
mid-tier Brazilian team circles that MW consistently is just floating around.
yeah, and then they have Conan playing, who was on the bench and then played in the playoffs last year. So it's
By the
a
way, this
large
might
shift.
this might be an effect of the fact that the Brazilian scene is stagnating because they can't get proper scrims throughout the entirety of the year because all of their good players have just moved to LA. So
Yeah.
you know, it's not like I'm not an expert, but I don't know how many good up and coming Brazilian players there really are aside from the people that were on the Union, and like half of them are
Shouldn't be
not going to be
anywhere
allowed to
near the league.
participate. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, half of them have got felonies.
So, I mean, it's true. And
It's
they
true,
shouldn't
it's
be in the
just
league.
true.
It's literally a fact. This is the one team. I mean, you mentioned the Pancata thing from
Oh, he's
Wyatt's
gone.
loud for us, but this is the team where they could. My back. For some reason, I'm
You're
like
back.
lagging out every so often for 5 seconds. This is the team though where you could just plug and play Pancata if shit's going wrong, because he is just an upgrade to Liazzi. I think if there's any team that Pancata ends up on throughout the season, I think it would be Furia. I don't know if it would be necessarily the best home with how things are run, which you guys are alluding to, but it would be
Okay,
a
it might be
straight,
the only
easy
home,
one for
bro.
one upgrade. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
All right. Let's move on to Crew, who have Skye now, who was really good with Lev towards the end of last season. He was one of the players that was dragging them over the finish line in a lot of their really close games when they were on the precipice of fucking doom and gloom. And then Nags, who had been with the team for eons, has finally...
Dude, one of their assistant coaches has just got the rat emote on DDX. Have you seen those emotes? They're like the little rat that's like,
What are you talking about? What the
What are you
fuck are you
talking about?
talking
No.
about?
You're not deep in the Twitch
I
emote
know,
meta?
I know the emo, but what are you talking about?
Well, that's all I'm gonna see every time I see the guy's name. Like, I'm just gonna see a little rat like DDX. I'm just gonna see,
His
that.
name is the emote. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, these guys don't have LCQ now, so they better fucking win.
Yeah. I mean, dude, look at their match page. Look at their match page. Just click on more results. 109 more results.
I
Kurt,
don't want to see.
just do it.
I don't-
Okay.
Kurt's gone. Kurt's
Just caught his ass at 4K, poor guy. That was the 3 minutes he walked away too.
I knew it. What happened? I just got back. I had to pee so bad. What happened? What happened?
That's fucked.
I just asked you to pull up the match results, and I realized that you weren't there.
I had to pee so bad. Okay, I'll pull up
That's
the
okay.
match results.
Dude, look at this. So LCQ is literally the only thing that they've won in like 1,000 years. They have been, it's just red all before that, red all after that, and then they won every game in LCQ. I think they made a deal with the devil.
This
I
is an
think-
absurd run, dude. What is this?
Yeah.
Like, it actually takes an effort to lose that much. And then
I could do
randomly
it.
win.
Oh well, yeah, I couldn't randomly win at the end, but I could lose a lot.
This is a team that
Yeah.
went to every international tournament.
I mean,
before
but to be fair, all their matches were stupid close.
They were, yeah.
Yeah, during the regular season.
Yeah.
Are we expecting better results from crew overall this year, or is it gonna be?
It can't get much worse, my dog.
Yeah, I mean, like,
That's
of
true.
course.
Yes, we're expecting
That's
better
true.
results.
That is a fact.
The thing is that I don't think. I think you need to make an upgrade to the core of the team, and they basically took away one piece, and I don't know if it's necessarily an upgrade. Everybody's going to say, of course it is. Nags is gone. Like, of course it's an upgrade. That guy needed to be cut like years ago. But like, realistically, you still have Kesnet Klaus on this team, and they've tried to like move it around in the past, but they keep coming back to it, and it just isn't interesting to me. This is the same people for 3 years.
I mean,
Yeah.
who was their Sentinel last year?
There was
Last year was
Davies.
Nags. Oh, yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Okay.
Davies died though, so unfortunately, that's
Yeah. So
they had to find
Skye-
a replacement there.
I mean, Skye is very good though. To be fair.
He is extremely good. I mean,
Shy
Davies
was fantastic.
Davies was exceptional. It might even be a downgrade, but Shy is really, really good. I think it should be a bit of a side grade there.
I think
But-
Shy it was good with Leviatán, and I was completely on board with one of the fact that you said why, where he was guiding the guy, dragging them through some of those games. But I think that might be because of the system he played in. It was very, very structured, and because of that, he shined because of his discipline in comparison to everybody else. Crew is not. They ain't got no discipline, bro.
They just
Kesnet's
gotta
running
close,
in.
man.
Dude, they
These
were
guys gotta learn.
disciplined during LCQ.
Yeah,
They
you're
were,
right, you're right.
Dude, those
Those
1-3-1ers,
defaults are crazy.
those guys on the fucking extremities of the map were not taking one step forward until there was 40 seconds left on the clock. They were just sat there watching. You never know what's gonna come out B main on split.
They just need to close more games. So that's simple.
They also probably should have made a change if there was one available for Klaus. This is what I was
so.
worried about with them doing well at the end of last year, is that I thought they should just deliberately lose LCQ in order for them to be
This guy
incentivized
is
to
going
properly
be-
make moves.
This guy's going to be coping about that the crew won't go on a run moment forever.
Yeah, forever. I'll never get over it.
Just see, they should have lost. They should have
I'll
listened.
never
to me
get
and
over it.
never won a game again. All right, let's keep it pushing. MIBR. Any y'all got anything? That was the end. I don't really know where to take this one. Y'all got anything?
All Brazilians are perfect. They do nothing wrong.
There are no reasons to be excited about MIBR.
That's
There are no reasons. I mean, they have
think of
gone
one?
from an IGL that was clearly not going to bring them results to just cycling another IGL that is very unlikely to bring them results. The way that this team has been playing when we've seen them recently has been fairly lost. They don't seem to have too much synergy with each other. The roster doesn't have as much firepower as some of the others, although it's not horrendous. It just loses out to basically every other roster when you're comparing it on paper. So that means that the value has to come from a lot of other places, and I think that's going to be a serious issue, because as good as Fraud and Bazooka have made teams in the past, I think they're working with a difficult job here.
I'll give you one reason. I think the stuff coming out of their camp at the end of the year where Heat is not even playing because they have disagreements on the play style or whatever, I think that's a great thing to get rid of in terms of environment for the team. And so that combined with Fraud, I think, is something that I'm now seeing now I'm excited to see whether or not the players are going to be able to use that to their advantage and play to whatever goals that they actually have, right? I've spoken to a couple of them, and they seemed like really motivated to show that they actually have the ability to whatever. And that combination of like work ethic could work with Fraud and without any blockers in the way, which Heat supposedly was last.
To be fair, like that is a massive factor, like more than people would think. Like when you're on a team and a player just isn't buying in, you're basically just it's a sinking ship.
And last year they had no tools to deal with that situation, so they're left with playing with that for the entirety. Sometimes there was like glimpses of hope. Like during the regular season, they had like a decent start despite like mostly losing. What they beat you guys, NRG, and that was like the peak of it. And I think that peak was exciting. That peak was good enough to maybe do something in terms of like maybe going to playoffs and whatnot. But beyond, like if the blockage within the team was enough for that not to happen ever, then yeah, all of a sudden you don't have that anymore, and it might be something decent here.
Yeah, I'm excited to see more JZZ. He was really good last season. I think he could and should be the breakout player of the team this year, and hopefully they're able to put some serious structure around him. I think the team has a good structure in regard to the management of the roster with the coaching staff, all that. I do think there's more potential than last year for sure. Maybe it's hard to believe it'll be more significant than maybe getting up towards the mid-table this year instead of being at the bottom of the table, but that wouldn't be too bad, all things considered. I think that would be a perfectly fine result for them.
They're going to have to rely on
year,
Arts and JZZ a lot, I think.
Yeah.
In order to be getting their wins.
Yeah. Okay. Let's keep it moving. We're going to talk about NRG. They have made
no reason to be excited.
A few changes. No, this shouldn't. Not a particularly interesting one. We can move on to Sentinels. Everybody loves them. All right, let me go down here. I'm looking at the roster changes in the run of show. They had Psalm. Now they have Marved. They had FNS, and now they have Ethan, the IGL. And they had Artis. Now they have Demon 1, the duelist who jumped on the table and won champions. React. Bola, you can go first.
I mean, super team. Like, straight up. I think the only question was about the IGLing, and who knows? But a lot of faith, right?
Yeah.
A lot of faith. Big shoes to fill, but still, I mean, you have so much experience on this team. Like, even if Ethan was a dog shit IGL, you'd be fine. Like, you know what I mean? You'd still have Crashies to back him up. You still have Victor. You still have Mart, all who come incredibly well and mid-round incredibly well. So, like, I think these guys are going to do everything in their power to set Demon 1 up to be exactly like he was last year. And if I don't see that failing, but if that fails, like, they still got 4 world-class players behind them. This is a team that should be winning the split, like 100%. They should finally get a regional title, and they should be moving on to actually compete for international titles.
I'm interested in your perspective, Finesse, on how difficult you think it is for a player that hasn't got calling experience as the primary IGL to step into those shoes. Because there are a lot of people that we know are vocal and do secondary calling. But it seems like there is a gap that's fairly difficult to get over in terms of like experience and work that you have to put in order to shoulder that responsibility as the main IGL for the team. If
the player we were talking about wasn't Ethan, I'd agree 100% that gap would be a lot larger. But with Ethan, it's not. Even when he was playing Counter-Strike, he's played with a lot of great IGLs. Now going into Valorant, he's played with a few good IGLs. So he's gotten enough experience as far as like what they do or what they provide to where I'm sure he's soaked up a lot of that information and is going to be able to use it to his advantage and help his team get better and better. And then on top of that, he has players around him who are willing to, and not just willing to, will by default mid-round a lot. So realistically, all he has to do is call start of the round. And then on top of that, you have a really good coach in chat who will already have the game plan set for him. If there was any team where an IGL isn't necessary, it's this one in terms of like, you don't have to have IGL'd before to just still be able to perform on this roster. And so that's why I regard them so highly, is because there are so many players and there's so many factors that go into why this team is going to be good that have nothing to do with in-game leading to begin with.
Can you can you speak a bit to what chat is like during the timeouts? Because my understanding is that while some of the coaches might be more like big picture during timeouts, of like you guys are getting fucked because you're not taking enough mid control or something like that. My understanding is that chat is more specific with it, like trying to call
He just calls a
specific
strat.
strategies or something.
He just calls a strat. So we have a playbook that there are times where he'll randomly call something we've potentially never done, but are running into a situation or a wall that we've never run into before, and he thinks of a solution on the spot. But that's rarely the case. It's more so he'll just look back at the playbook and go, okay, can we do this strat? And everyone remembers the strat. We've dry ran it 100 times. And then usually from that point on, we kind of build up if we win the round and stuff like that.
Yeah, that seems like a very good system for somebody that's less experienced to go into. In terms
It's
of,
easy.
like,
I mean,
taking
even
burden
I
away
told
from
him, and I'm an experienced caller, and even I told him, like, bro, just stop telling me what we're doing wrong. Just call a fucking strat. You're watching the game 6 rounds in. Tell me what to do then. Like, if you watch the game for 6 rounds, just call the next strat, because then you've seen everything. You've seen how the opponent reacts. You can easily, And then so he just started doing that, and since then it hasn't really changed. Maybe it'll change with this team. I don't know, but as far as it went with me and him and I, it was very a simple agreement of call a timeout. Don't there's no point in wasting any time. Just call what you see and have faith in that it will work.
I from my experience, think it might be a little difficult for an IGL to step in with very vocal mid-rounders if, for example, they lose faith in you pretty early, because then they'll try to overcall a lot. With that being said, again, I don't expect that to happen, but that is like a potential thing that some IGLs would fall into for
If they didn't know each
trap year.
other. But these guys
Exactly.
know each other really well, and they're all really good friends to begin with. Like, we were all really good friends with Ethan as it was. We've known this guy for years. These guys have all known these guys for years. So I don't see those kinds of problems, the same problems that might occur on other teams with new pickups happening on this team.
It's so funny. Bren was trying to persuade us that this team didn't have a guy to lighten the mood or something, or to bring people back in line, which I just don't. How can you know anything about? Dude, I don't know where he got that from. I think it's because a lot of these players seem quite serious when they get into the game. Like Demon One, Ethan, I think Victor as well seem very serious when they get into the game.
Even when you watch them on stage, they look. Yeah,
but dude, Marvda's got high key himbo energy. Like, you can't be, dude. You can't help but laugh at this guy sometimes.
I mean, even when I was on the team, it's just very, very chill vibes. Everyone joking around, laughing with each other. There is no like real crazy tension or anything, unless we start losing, which we did. But besides that, it's all good and it's all normal. Everyone's normal. It's chill, good friends. There's very little like seriousness outside of what you guys see.
Yeah. What do you think this team is going to do? Because my main concern with this is how the role overlap is going to work. Because Demon One had a very specific setup on EG where they had really unusual roles. They had Demon One playing the Jet and then the Smokes, and then when Demon One wasn't on Duelist, they had Jorgmo come in to fill that spot. So what do you think is more likely? Demon One being able to just start playing Raze, or is that going to be Victor picking
Vic is
up
too
all
good
of
on
those
Raze.
things?
Vic is basically Jogamo, right? Now, you could argue he's worse, he's better, whatever, but he's basically the Jogamo for Demon One. So the second Demon One needs to go to Smokes, or they need a Raze, and there's no Jet on the map, then immediately Vic is going to take the Raze, and then Demon One is going to go into Smokes. And then probably what will happen is Marv will go into Viper or whatever else if they need double smokes or whatever. Obviously, Marv is still going to be the main controller on the team, but I know a lot of people see it as role overlap. I see it as a complete strength. I think they're better off with the roles they have right now, because they have 2 of everything besides Sentinel. 2 people can play smokes on the team. 2 people can play initiators on the team. 2 people can play duelists on the team. The only thing they lack compared, like in terms of what we've seen in VC tournaments and stuff, is who's going to play the Sentinel role consistently. But one, it's the easiest role to learn. Now that's debatable, but I think I stand by that. And then 2, Vic and Austin have both played it at a high level at one point or another. So that they have 2 of everything. There is no real overlap.
Yeah, I think people forget because it was so long ago that Crashies was genuinely fantastic on Sentinel right back in like the
Yeah.
very
The
early time
Pearl
of the game.
shit. Oh my.
Yeah, and then on top
Oh
of that,
well,
you're just
yeah,
sitting there
when he
baiting.
moved to it recently too. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I was thinking about when he was playing Cypher, like back when he was playing for
Yeah,
Team
yeah.
1 or something. But yeah, he did play it recently too.
Oh
Yeah.
my god. Yeah, the fucking ancient days.
Yeah.
I'm sad, dude. I'm so sad that we won't get to see the Crashy Skye shit anymore because it's genuinely beautiful dog son combinations.
It's fine. We'll get to see a Sova. Sova's filthy.
That's very true.
Yeah.
Am I the only? Okay.
Yes, you are
Oh,
the only one.
You're the only one.
Okay, maybe I'm the only
Here
one.
comes a bad
Maybe I'm the
take.
only one. This is an incoming bad take on the horizon here. But when Som first joined NRG, there was a lot of talk about it being big shoes to fill because Marv had previously been fantastic on that team. But I loved the way that Som was playing smokes on NRG. I feel like the team set him up for success a lot, made his role quite like focused, and then he was pounding. And I know that it wasn't an exact like for like comparison, but that to me is the big area where Marv is now going to have more roles to fill probably, or like more moving around to account for Demon 1 coming in. And correct me if I'm wrong here, but I feel like when he was playing with you guys, Finesse, the style that you played gave him a very like open lane to go for those aggro lurks that he's known for and go for those high value plays, which if you're trying to build entirely around like a Demon 1 or something like that instead, I feel like there's some potential there for Marv to not really have his space to make his plays in the same way that he had done previously when he was at the top of the world.
I see what you're saying, and I remember specifically it was week 5. We were 1-3 in the season, and I specifically had a talk with Sam in my apartment where I was like, yo, you need to start playing the game. Like in terms of like just play your game. He was too worried about like playing stagnant and like listening to the call and not dying, right? You're a smokes character, you can't die. And then right after that, he started making more and more instinctual plays based off what he saw and heard and based off what he thought what the opponent was doing. Basically started playing the game instead of worrying about what we were doing. And his whole entire game changed. Jimmy never had this issue. Jimmy doesn't give a fuck. He just plays.
No, he's doing whatever he wants.
And so if there's any player on the team that will do that and have that issue, it will definitely not be Jimmy. He will take his timings when he sees them. If he makes a mistake, he's very receptive to understand like if Chet says like, oh, don't do this next time, but he won't do it. But at the end of the day, he wants to learn and get better. But more importantly than all of that, his instincts will always kick in and he'll always do what he thinks is right in the moment. And I think that's why he was like a world-class player, right? It's just his consistent ability to just take over based off what he thinks is happening. A lot of the stuff Jimmy did, I didn't call for him. He just did it, right? So
yeah.
that's the kind of player you need in that role. Sam had to develop into that role, but eventually developed into that role, not just quickly, but at a very high level, right? Jimmy already does that or did that and previously on our team.
Here's my question though. Do you think that's easier to have a player like that find success when everybody else is doing quite a set thing? It feels like when I think about the way that this team is going to play, I would imagine them being a bit more loose and a bit more improv-y than the way that you ran the previous version of the roster. I don't imagine that Ethan will be calling as heavily. I think he'll be relying on input from other people and have it more of the loose EG kind of style.
Yeah.
I feel like it's easier for Marv to be the wild card element when the rest of the team all has a very clear understanding of how they're creating like a distraction or pressure on the other side of the map or something like that.
Default heavy team. Like, so when on Optic and on Energy, we were a very default heavy team because I love mid-rounding. And then the same thing goes for Vic and Austin. They love being able to like, we just love knowing we're hitting the correct site before we hit it instead of gambling. And unless you have heavy ults and you're hitting a bomb site, it doesn't really, in my head, make sense to just go in rush A, rush B, whatever, like you do in ranked. And then the same thing goes with EG. Like we did play very similarly in a sense that it was a very heavy defaulty team that went into a strat late. And same thing on defense, like their setups interchanged between each other. So because those styles are a little bit more similar than maybe you might think, I think they'll be fine. And Jimmy will still just be able to, as long as they're playing that default standard style, be able to find his timings and his picks and make those plays.
Yeah, fair.
Gotcha. I mean, there's so many, positives and exciting things to look at about this team. Are there any, or rather, I guess, like, what would any potential pitfalls with this roster be that they need to avoid to get the success that it's assumed they're going to get?
Not winning right away.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, getting boomed by a bad group or
Do you
a
think
bad
that
like
So
setup
they're
or something.
susceptible to
None of that Billy
mental
shit can
damage?
happen again. They just can't.
They're just not suffering the mental walls crumbling, basically.
Yeah.
That's the
Because
key.
if they do, it's gonna be bad. Like it's gonna be way worse than it was on the previous roster. And just based off the talent they have and based off the expectations not only that others have for them, but they have for themselves, is gonna be impossible to just rectify these problems within such a short span of time. Because again, like we said, everyone has to win, right? If you lose, you're in trouble. And especially when you're a super team regarded as the best, you have the highest expectations.
Damn, you're
All right.
talking like you're about to take their spots and shit. Like
I'm just saying,
every
I mean-
team, like you gotta win.
I'm just saying, like they just have to win. It's that simple.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, speaking of super teams, if we're ready to move on.
Yes.
What? Why?
You better be transitioning into a real super team. Right,
It's Sentinels. What do you
Right.
mean? That is what are you
Yeah.
talking? That is a real super team. Hates 100 Thieves, hates Sentinels, hates Tens. Crazy.
True, yeah.
Crazy
Jesus.
behavior from Wilkinson. All right, Sentinels. They've been going crazy in the offseason. The hype has never been higher. Well, in at least a couple years. At least since Berlin 2021. The hype has never been higher for Sentinels to, actually do really well. How are we feeling in regard to them in the echelon of... I'm going to assume they're just kind of the proposed... top four that we're looking at to make Madrid to the teams. It's, you got Sen, Loud, NRG, Leviatán. That's kind of the assumed top four we have. How are we feeling?
This team has a great chance of getting hot out the gates. I feel like they've been
Right.
putting in all the work they need to be able to look very good at the beginning of the year and start off strong. There's a lot of other teams that haven't, that have just been getting used to the changes that they've been going through. This team has been like grinding out all of the small details for like months now, and they've been taking the offseason so seriously, like way more than any other team.
Speaks for itself, honestly. Not much else to say. They're just good. They are
Yeah.
genuinely good.
They're the favorite to win, to come in first for this qualifying kickoff regional
For
tournament.
kickoff, fucking anyone can do that shit. Right now,
Okay.
like we don't know. We don't
I
know.
don't think there even.
We don't know.
I
who's
don't
in
think there
form.
even is a game
Well, I guess
to win the kickoff.
There's not a
tournament.
technical. I
you
guess
just
there's not
qualify.
technically a winner, but it's the same thing. Yeah, you know what I mean.
Right.
They're capable, yes. Is it likely? We don't like. It's just so hard to say because, like you said, you just named like 4 or 5 other teams that can also potentially do it, right? But they're in that. Last year, they weren't really in that conversation. I don't think as much as they are
No.
this year.
And what's the community expectations for Sentinels, I think, are going to be higher because you've actually seen them play well.
Exactly.
You haven't seen Loud play well. You haven't seen NRG play well. So people are going to, be hyped about the team that they know is good over the unknowns of some of the other squads that should be good, but you're not 100% sure about it. But that's not exactly the way that it works. Just because you've seen Sentinels doesn't mean that they are the best. But goddamn, have they made some improvements over the offseason, man. Like this
agree.
is a real team now. This is a real team.
They're making all the correct moves. The rotations are actually hard to read. Like I know if I was playing against that team, it'd be very difficult for me to read. They're very, very vocal with each other based off what I've heard, and like the voice comms and stuff. They just have to maintain that level. If they can maintain that level, they will be fucking really dangerous, even for teams like NRG and Lev. But they got to maintain that level.
Yeah, I think you look at Zelsis as the guy to like kind of bring the energy and allow you like everybody to be in peak form and whatever. But now that they've had so much experience in these off-season events, like it will transition to other people just being able to like provide that. So even if Zelsis is having an off day or whatever, like Dasi will be able to bring it up. Tekken obviously is
It's that thing that we were talking about,
right?
right? Like 100 Thieves gaining that confidence with having Boostio play in that tournament. Sentinels gained all of that. They already
Right.
they're like a level ahead in that sense. They gained all that off-season confidence, and now they know they're good in their heads. So yeah.
And I think they figured out like all of the kind of role issues that they had last year. Like they're not going into the season with any major problems compared to other teams. Like they're pretty happy, pretty comfortable with the situation that they're in terms of structure, in terms of roles, in terms of all of that. So this is their opportunity to like to grab here in kickoff to actually make it back to international tournaments.
I love this shit, bro. Too many good teams.
Yeah. Yeah, it's actually looking a lot better than I thought it would at the beginning of the season too. But holy fuck, VLR still lists Zelsis as the sub. That's the funniest joke I've seen.
Thank God though that. Thank God though.
Bro, I'm done with that picture. Don't.
I'm not. That's actually the first time I've seen it. I'm just getting started with that photo. If I'm being honest.
I don't know what that means, man. I don't want to know what that.
Listen, I'm just glad that I'm getting myself
In the photos in his head, bro.
I was gonna make another joke, but that's for after dark. I was like, do I say this joke in my head? Saving it for the premium episode. Listen, I'm just glad that Sentinels look good.
OnlyFans.com/Plat Chat.
I'm just glad that Sentinels look good. I'm just a big fan, you know. What the fuck was I actually going to say earlier before that got shown? Oh, I was just going to say I'm glad that Sentinels have not gotten sucked into the black hole of roster changes week after week that they were in last year. They have avoided, yeah, it was not a pitfall. It was legitimately a black hole that they were being vortexed into all season.
Don't
and if
speak
they
too soon, man. You never know.
There's no way. There's no way.
Surely they wouldn't do that this season. Surely they won't lose the first game and Pancata will be right back in. I mean, I'm begging and pleading that they don't do that. I mean, they have.
Oh, he's gone again. He's died.
Actual team. Oh, and I'm lagging out. And I'm lagging out. And I'm back. I've been lagging out so much this entire time, and it's driving me.
I am actually. I'll tell you what as well. I'm genuinely excited to see Tens cooking on Omen. I can't wait to see this lunatic doing the silliest shit on Omen.
No, hold on. Let me circle back to you hating Tens.
I was gonna say, does this guy hate Tens? What is he talking about?
No.
I distinctly remember doing an episode where you were hating on the Tens Omen, and I'm like, Josh, can we please move on to the next topic? One more thing, and you just kept going off, and now all of a sudden it's your favorite fucking thing in the world.
It's very silly. It's very silly, and I enjoy it a lot. He's got more capability of being a very good aggressive Omen player than he does of being a duelist or a hard initiator player, I think. So if they're gonna have him on the roster and he's gonna be doing these wild aggro plays, Omen is definitely the funniest for him to be on. He's gonna be like peak silly, but also peak aim Redgar at all times. And it's going to be fucking amazing to watch. He's going to be doing silly bastard TPs all over the place because he's been doing it all off season every time he's done it. And some of them are going to pound and he's going to be owning people.
But he'll actually
like Angel. Yeah, like Angel, but not an old man. It's going to be like it's going to be like Angel looking back through an old photo book of when he was in his youth. And it's like, good times. And then he can go and watch Tens doing it all. I swear, you are going to see some absurd highlight plays from him and some outrageous feeding. Omen is the perfect place to get max entertainment value.
They literally look comfortable.
They do, but they're also playing off him fairly well too. But my God, I've seen some silly shit, and it's way funnier to do the silly shit on Omen than it is to do the silly shit on Duelist because you just end up dying and your team can't take any space. Or if you do it on Initiator, he's it's just the silly shit is not using your utility.
Are you taking Marvin or Tens?
For silly shit?
No, just in general, Omen.
Oh, just in general.
Controller.
I mean, that's less interesting. I don't know. I guess I'll take Marv because it's more consistent, I suppose. But if I want entertainment, I'm looking at the Tens Omen. I'm telling you, you are gonna get some amazing clips from that guy.
All right. And finally, I guess I was gonna say the rival of Sen. Is that true? I don't know. I guess the orgs tweeted each other, but it's G2. G2 ascended from Americas. A lot of hype around this team that kind of it got, tampered down a little bit in the off season because they were not fantastic in the little off season tournaments and things that they were playing in
Played
fall of
matches,
last
Skye.
year.
They played show matches.
I'm not saying that affected me. I'm just saying I'm reading the room, and
Okay.
by the room I mean like Reddit. that's the room. Fucking hate that room. Yeah, G2. They only made the one change. They brought in Leaf for Tex, which is it was a pretty sick move on paper. Even though Tex was obviously very good too, but certainly a cool move. The rest of the roster stayed the same. All those guys looked great last year. I mean, Trent is still a demon. Jonah P, I thought, really went from good player to fantastic player towards the end of last year's. Yeah, basically. Net has remained super consistent. I know also in regard to behind the scenes activity with the team, like what he does in practice, the communication, all that highly regarded. Still, to me, a team to be very excited about, and the off season, whatever. I don't care. I do not care. Josh, do you care?
No, but I also don't know how good this team actually would have been last year if they'd played in the partnership system, because they were, remember, playing against lower level teams. I mean, not significantly lower. We already know that the Challengers teams are really good at the top level. So, your M80s, your guard from last year. Who else last year was looking really good? Oxygen towards the end as well. Yeah, MXS. But I think MXS are better now than they were last year, aren't they? They look...
They will be, but they were very good last year in the final playoffs. And that was a different team, so
I don't know where the guard would have placed. Like, I reckon they probably would have been around the top 4 kind of level last year if they'd been playing as good as they were, but had been playing in partnerships. But it's really difficult to tell because you're comparing them against a total different set of teams.
Yeah.
That's where I think they should be aiming towards, though, is top middle of the pack trying to break into the top 4. But damn, the top 4 is quite difficult to get into.
Oh yeah.
100%. I think this team last year in Challengers was able to learn a lot about just developing new comps, being able to play, cutting edge meta, stuff like that. And that made them a lot more consistent. But you're right. It was definitely against more weaker competition on the average. And that gives you certain liberties. Here, this season, you don't have that sort of liberties. You're playing week after week with teams who are going to be anti-stratting the shit out of you, right? It's not that easy to come up with new stuff and then also be able to on the fly defend it and prove to the rest of the teams that that's how you can do it. So I have faith with them because I think last year's experience was fantastic for them. Confidence building aside, they just looked great. So yeah, I think they should be shooting for at least one qualification to an event.
I don't know why I think this, but I think they are gonna have a slow start. So for kickoff and then maybe even split 1, but hopefully they're gonna pick up from that point, and that's assuming they have the slow start. I don't know if they actually will, but I don't know, for some reason I just feel like they're gonna have a slower start.
It would be weird if they did,
it'll
though,
take some
'cause
adjustment.
it should be fairly easy for them to get off the ground running, because changing Leaf in for Tex shouldn't really adjust too much to how they were operating, and they still have. I mean, they'll have to redo their compositions for maps in the same way that everybody else will.
It's just so hard for me to rate them above so many teams we've already named,
Yeah, which is very, very fair.
Yeah, I mean, there's obviously there's the aforementioned top 4, and then past that, e.g. 100 Thieves, C9,
and G2.
FURIA. I mean, they've got to be at least around there. But yeah, it does feel like, are you certain they're going to beat Cloud9 or FURIA? Or I don't
That's
know.
my point, right? That middle of the pack is
eh.
disgusting. Actually just so close in terms of just skill level on paper. And that's why it's so difficult for me to just put them up there.
I feel better about G2 than I do about some of those other teams you mentioned, though, in that middle of the pack. I feel like they should be towards the top of the middle of the pack. Versus C9 or versus FURIA, something like that.
So C9,
they got a better
Thieves,
team system.
FURIA.
Yeah.
And who?
I don't know. I mean, we're literally about to do power rankings, so
Yeah,
we can just do it there.
Yeah, we are literally going
Fair
to do power. Ooh, the preview. Yeah, I guess we can do that. But we are going to take a short break, come back, and do the power rankings. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after 5 minutes. Or how long are you going to set it, Kurt? 5 minutes.
We'll do 5 minutes. Let's get some copyright-free music going.
Lovely.
Can we hear the Wii music soundtrack?
That's not
What's it called?
copyright-free, I don't think.
Oh, that's brutal.
Nintendo is
so-
notorious for just taking down stuff, so.
Oh,
Well, I got a guy.
We are
I
not
like your
muted.
7-pointed stars on everything too.
Yeah, I goofed up the screen. We haven't used it in a minute. This is a great song.
Oh my god.
Holy!
Sorry. It's so good it pierces your ear. All right, I'm gonna get some water and something to snack on.
Yo, thank you for member, everybody.
Chat, what did you guys get to eat? I got some carrots and hummus.
I ain't getting nothing. Was I supposed to get something to eat? And that's crazy, Kurt.
You don't eat food?
No, you just don't know with me.
Why? Why don't you eat food?
I'm fasting forever.
Oh
This is
shit, that's
my-
crazy.
It's my religion.
I love this song.
It makes me so happy.
time to say goodbye to the song. We're coming back.
Oh,
I don't know if everybody's here though.
That's my favorite track.
I'm here.
Woo!
We all here? Are we all here?
Look
Hello.
at us.
Oh wow, we're all here. Perfect. All right, it's time for the power ranking. Kurt, bring up the graphic. What? There we go.
Oh my god, you
Whoa,
redesigned the
what
brat.
the
Redesigned
heck?
it.
It matches the
2024.
music.
New me, new graphic. Let's do this.
Mm.
All right. There goes the lower third. That's what I was waiting on. All right. Let's begin and argue amongst ourselves and with each other, not amongst ourselves, or the inner monologue arguing, but also with each other.
Can I propose?
No.
Can I propose
What?
that we throw the top 4 in there and don't worry about where
The
they're ranked
order yet? Okay. Yes.
And then we figure, put them in like roughly at the moment, and then we'll
Sure.
we'll
So,
argue more about it later.
Yeah.
NRG,
Lev, NRG, Sentinels, and 100 Thieves.
100.
Stop.
What?
So what is going on here? Where is Loud is in there, in the top 4.
Yeah, there you go.
Loud has got to be in the top 4.
I don't
they?
see 100 Thieves.
I agree.
You don't see
I
100
think-
Thieves because they're not there. Wyatt. They're not top 4.
You have to put NRG first,
Says
EG last,
you.
right?
EG last? Yeah, probably.
I mean,
Only
I
because
am
rookie team.
low
No.
on MIBR.
Oh, that's fair enough.
But-
Yeah.
but-
Or crew.
that low?
I'm pretty low.
Alright, fair enough.
I'm fine with getting,
I know EG's about to trickle up to 7. I
Love
know
this. Love this
Yeah.
for me. Love this for me. Am I?
I mean, crew have got to be down somewhere towards
Yeah,
the
you're
bottom
back.
as well. Yeah, you're back. I mean,
Bruh.
crew have got to be somewhere towards the bottom as well, and the rest are middle of the pack, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that roughly how it is?
Yep.
Crew, FURIA, maybe.
Yeah, I mean,
dude, I don't know where to put 100 Thieves at all.
I'm with 7th, 8th here with Furia. Like, I don't know which one is which, but they're there.
yeah. And then throw the other 3 in there, and now we can get to actually ordering things like closely,
So we'd have to put C9 ahead of G2, right? Since we've seen them in the off season, or
I don't think so.
no? Damn, you guys
feel-
have high
I mean,
expectations for G2.
this is like, yeah.
Dude, G2 have Leaf and Trent on the team. They looked really good last year. Like, this is not the same Cloud9 that we saw last year. Like,
That's
that
fair.
version of Cloud9 versus G2, yeah, I put Cloud9 ahead. But they've kind of swapped around a little bit. G2 should be better on paper, but I don't know whether they will be. Let's say they're exactly the same. This version of Cloud9 is not going to do the same as Cloud9 last year. They are not going like 8-1 or whatever the fuck they were last year in the regular season.
I mean,
There's just no way.
Paper doesn't matter when you thought about that team anyways last year. So.
True.
Yeah,
Same with EG too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Vanity-led teams to me always go on runs. Like, they always just go on one crazy run and then whatever, and then they end up being whatever potential they actually have.
That's what I always say about Melza-led teams as well. They always go on a run. They're always going on runs.
Oh my god. I want to propose something here for the top 4, and then I want you all to react. What if? Wait, Kurt, I already forget it because you took down the graphic. Kurt, what if? I'm begging and pleading and begging. What if we simply switch NRG and Lev, and that's the top 4?
Oh,
That's not top 2.
Wait, how long term are we making? This is for the entire year, right?
No,
This
it's
is for
a power
Americans the
ranking.
whole
it's
year.
No. It's a power ranking. It's not a
What?
where are they going to finish in 7 months ranking. Look at the current topic, lower third, motherfucker. It's the
Well,
power
yeah.
ranking.
time.
Okay,
All right,
now.
so this is like coming into kickoff.
Yes,
Kickoff.
it's
This is
rating the power coming into kickoff. It's not a prediction of
Hey guys, everybody
2025.
calm down. Everyone calm down here.
Sorry.
We're gonna be wrong anyway. It doesn't matter.
Dude, okay, I mean, with that basis, maybe you can argue Sentinels above, but I mean, Lev should be Lev and RG are the teams that look like they should be the most primed to be able to win.
Yes.
I do believe in Sentinels as well.
I think Sen is 2 as well.
Oh wow.
I think for Kickoff, I can be persuaded.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just for kickoff.
Yeah, for Kickoff at least, the grind they've been putting in, how well they've looked, and then Lev making this last second change to Calm. What's going on
But
there?
this is a fire ass list right
Are
now.
Are Sentinels number 1 for Kickoff?
I don't see a single mistake.
That's just trying to fucking
I-
end the episode, bro.
Hey, bro, we gotta drag this out. We have to drag this out.
Because I've been hanging out for way too long with these motherfuckers.
No, I think this looks good, guys. Okay.
No notes. No notes. Move on.
Can we switch Sen and NRG though?
Yeah,
That's-
energy are 100% top 1 for me. Like,
Top 1 for Kickoff when we haven't seen the roster play ever before.
don't
Who
care.
cares?
Don't care.
Okay.
All right, I'm gonna be looking all day for someone who cares, Josh, and I won't find them because no one cares. All right, so NRG are number 1, Sentinels are number 2.
I, you know, the only way I can be convinced, and I'm convincing myself, is that Leviatán, I don't know what the fuck is going on. They could have internal issues, and that puts them down below Sentinels, like, given, but that's, like, hearsay, so, okay.
All right. I mean, Loud are going to be pissed. Sadak is watching this episode fuming right now at where we've put Loud.
We can't.
These fucking Americans never give me the credit.
So what I'm gonna do here is put it on Finesse and what he said earlier, and just say that I
I'm
agree with it.
Canadian, bro.
It's
I don't know what's going on.
it's the Ospas difference factor. You can't
All right,
justify.
fine. Put them ahead of Aspas. Fuck it.
You can't.
Put them ahead of Aspas.
Then we win. Then we
No.
can't lose.
Oh,
You can't.
oh, that
can't-
hurts me to look at.
You can't justify Loud being in the top 3, and you can't justify them being any lower than 4. I don't see a way. It's not possible.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Okay.
Simply
Okay.
impossible.
I feel
don't
good.
know how you guys have this much faith in G2, man.
Really? Okay,
This is
so
a
what?
whole new beast of teams they're playing. They're not playing those teams again. You know what I mean? Like they still
Yeah.
look really good, but they're playing like I
Do
don't
you
know.
think? I feel like 5 through 11 in partnership is kind of similar to.
I agree.
challenges.
I mean, to some degree, I agree, but okay. Let me put it to you this way: I think Cloud9 or 100 Thieves would have a better chance at beating NRG, Sen, Lev than G2 would.
I think Cloud9 might come out pretty hot in the kickoff tournament.
Yeah, I don't know why I have such a high stock in them too.
I could definitely see Cloud9 performing better in this kickoff tournament.
It's just because their rookie player performed so well in the off-season events. They're like rookie star pickup.
yeah.
And so to me, that's just such a good sign of good, like, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is fair. I mean, I would rather have C9. I'd rather have C9 above G2.
I
I'm
am the
thinking if
number
I want
1 leaf
100
glazer.
Thieves about G2, which
That's just such a
No.
toss-up. I just don't know.
This early on, I feel
I-
like you gotta wait to see where 100 Thieves are
I
at
agree.
before.
No, I have so much. Oh, I hate myself.
Do you have
for
faith
wanting to
in
What is
100
happening?
Thieves?
He's just moving them down.
Just think
do
about
I have
it.
faith in what?
Just
Gosh.
think about it. Do you have faith in 100 Thieves? Like, do you have faith that they're going to be able to fix stuff up and really become a very good team?
So, I want to move them higher, and also to answer your question, no.
Right. Okay.
Make
So-
that make sense.
Right. Right.
Make that make sense, Josh.
Yeah.
Listen, we got
Yeah,
Chamber on Lotus. We potentially have Chamber on Breeze. I mean, Cryo can be back on that Chamber, you know? Like, is there a better
Yeah.
Chamber player than Cryo in this list?
What, the entire
Maybe
league?
Demon
This
One?
list?
Demon
Les,
1.
Demon
I could
1.
really see Demon
Ospas?
1 playing
Les
Chamber
was
with
not
this team.
amazing on Chamber.
No, yeah, he
Les-
wasn't that
Les
good.
actually
Ospas
struggled during the
then,
Chamber
like, it's
meta.
fine. Like, move on.
Yeah. I mean, I suppose it's
Dude,
crazy.
Demon 1 was like he had like 4,000 rounds on Chamber or something before
Yeah,
joining
besides
GG.
Demon 1 and Aspas, I don't see anyone that clears on Chamber as much as
Demon
Cryo.
won 0 world championships, 1 on Chamber, 1 world championship, 1 playing smokes. Clearly not a very good Chamber player, actually.
I mean, but he probably won a lot of Knights weekly cups playing Chamber. So
He probably did, yeah.
Factor that in.
How many Knights Weekly Cups do you have to win before it's worth one world
Fine,
championship?
you can play Chamber. Man, you're gonna see a lot of Chamber this year.
Yeah, it probably will. Jesus, where are we? Oh, right, 100 Thieves in G2.
Well, you're there. I don't think anybody else is there.
Well, where are you guys?
This.
I'm looking further down the
You're
list.
just done?
I'm trying to help your.
G200.
I'm trying to help your argument of 100 Thieves
I-
over G2 by saying the Chamber thing.
Right.
Right.
It's not working out.
I mean,
I think EG with Jorgamo are going to be better than MIBR and possibly Crew. No, maybe not Crew. I mean, Kesnet is.
Dude, can we just put EG at the bottom just out of respect for, like,
respect
Out of
for-
disrespect.
Who's that respecting?
respect for the community, respect for the system, respect for fucking, for Valorant.
For the-
I feel so bad for Jorgamo, man. He's such an incredible player, and he is just going to get dogged on all year for being part of the org that everyone hates.
No, he's not.
I
John
mean,
wants to go. Fuck
Dude,
off
you
with
are
that shit.
literally you are power ranking
I
him
don't
at
care.
11th.
You think he gives a fuck where Plat Chat is power ranking
Dude,
him?
people are
Like,
just going to be sympathetic all season.
Dude, he's won a
Yeah.
world
God,
championship. He doesn't give a crap. Like, in fact, last year we probably put him in this spot, and that's what happened.
That's actually a good point.
Christ.
I'm willing to listen to your arguments though for EG, but like, come on.
I just don't think MIBR have got much going for them. I
can see
don't
that.
think it looks good. I mean, Artson and JCZ, pretty decent, but Jorgamo, I think, is a significantly better player than, either of them. And
Giacomo's
EG
been in
have got some
jail
decent talent.
all off season. MIBR, you know where they've been home? You know where they've been? Home for the first time in like 6 months back in the
Wait,
other
can you make the
season.
argument that Ichi's had better prac or no?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, 100%.
Okay, but whoa, what are you talking about?
They
Jorgamo's been in
had-
jail. They don't put him in a fucking offshore processing plant.
I
He's
mean-
been at home. He's not been in an actual physical
He's
fucking
literally
jail in the
he's supposed to
Philippines.
go to Guantanamo. What are you talking
No,
about, bro?
he's getting waterboarded. Take the contract! Take the contract! Like, what are you talking about? He's just been vibing at home, but under some
Doing jack
stress.
shit, bro. Like he's just chilling, like playing with a bunch of scrubs, bro. Like constantly, like playing with no.
I mean,
like,
he was rumored to move to G2, right? But then they got leave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For a
But,
while.
dude, he's not going to be a significantly worse player. He's not had his mental broken. EG have not been using sleep deprivation torture to make him take
So-
the
He,
50%
he
can
was
piss
so
we
off.
close to
make-
having one person with him. He was so close to having his friend Calm come out of jail with him, go on stage, then go back into jail. But no, got ripped apart from him again. This dude, like, what are you talking
So
about?
if
His
we
mental's
can make the
probably
argument that
ruined.
EG's had better practice in Crew and MIBR, then maybe EG over them.
like, Vanessa just like ignoring the bullshit.
No,
I don't know what's happening, man. I'm just
kinda-
locking in.
I know-
I'm
I
locking
kinda-
in on the power ranking, bro. I'm in now.
I kind of want to move. Yeah, I want to move EG above Crew and MIBR. To me, if EG have an okay amount of practice, but also I just want to see them vibe out. I think if they just, I think if they just throw caution to the wind and go in there and have a good time, I think they could bang out some of these teams. They have good firepower. Like if Derek is just back to Derek and having a good time, not having the worries
who's
and
EG's
the bullshit
caller?
with 100 Thieves.
Nature.
Right,
Oh, okay,
nature. Right. But if Derek is just chilling, if he sheds the weight of having to play for an org like 100 Thieves and all the bullshit that comes along with that and the problems that team was having, and just goes back to where he was at before, I still rate Superman. I think he's definitely got some potential. At the very least, the firepower with him is well documented.
There's a lot
You
of
know,
there's a lot of weight being carried here by the word if, isn't there? There's a lot of ifs being required for them.
Well,
to be
there's a lot of
Crew.
ifs. Well, if MIBR has good structure, they could be above them. If JZZ and fucking whomever go crazy, like, yeah, there's a lot of ifs. It's a predictive power ranking, Josh. Like, what do you want me to do? There's no facts to go off.
But I mean,
Like,
Crew have Kesnet, Crew have Skye. Like, Crew actually have players that are going to seriously shoot back, even if their team is not doing.
Do we have any scrim bucks?
No, dude.
No.
I mean, we
From
need
the-
James FF in here. Where's the VLR threads?
Who? What?
Dude, James FF is the guy that was leaking all of the scrims. I don't know whether he still does it, but
He's
like
just
leaking
getting
all
that
of the
shit off
champ
a
scrims
tear
and stuff.
extreme. Like, what are you
Yeah. I mean, yes. He's
Leaking it.
yes.
Wait, Terra's
He's just
leaking it.
yeah. He's just following all of the people in their streams and finding the little
That's
match
crazy.
IDs.
Yeah. The 100 Thieves is pounding teams. NRG's losing every scrim.
That's
I mean,
normal.
I'm okay with EG being between crew and MIBR. That's fine.
Yeah.
But I have belief that if they just have no fucking weight on their shoulders and are having a good time, that they'll do pretty decent.
The only thing I would change in this ranking right now is the 100 Thieves G2. That's just me.
I think 100 Thieves are up too high for kickoff.
Oh,
This is the only thing I would change. Everything else seems perfectly fine.
they were too
now.
I think
high when they were in 7th. You're saying, Josh?
For kickoff, I think so. Yeah, I think that team is not gonna be able to turn it around.
Wait, where would you put them?
Probably under Furia.
As I'm raising my hand.
Oh wow.
Do you need a piss? What are you raising your hand for?
I just have a point. Just wanted to be called on by the teacher.
Yeah, Bala, what do you think about
Okay.
100 Thieves?
Oh no, it's not about that.
What do you think? All right. Well, what do you think
EG.
generally?
EG will be under MIBR because they have to pay the blood payment for last year's fucking miracle that they gave them. So that's what they gave them.
Oh, right. Like, okay.
Fair enough.
Kurt, switch them back.
Oh, it's
Yeah,
just factual.
there's no shot that we can rank EG. Dude, EG are just gonna lose and be out when they have a really good seeding in kickoff as well.
You put 7 Furia and 8 100 Thieves. Yeah?
That's what I would do, but that's just for kickoff. And to be clear, I don't have very much faith in Furia either. It's just that I feel like they should be able to form better than 100 Thieves for the very start of the year, and then we'll just see what happens with 100 Thieves afterwards. I think 100
Hell
Thieves have a
yes.
lot
is
to work
kickoff?
on. A lot
Hell
to work
yes.
on.
I mean, 100
Kickoff
Thieves,
is in 3 weeks.
they've got like 25 days until kickoff, something like that.
Dude, they have to rebuild Rome with a fucking stick. They've just got sticks and clay, and they have to rebuild Rome.
What
It's
is
not
it, Euro?
happening.
Who's here just
overreacting.
going around beating people with sticks? What is this analogy?
And to be fair, like when they did lose this offseason event, like some of the rounds that they'd lost, they should not have lost. Like to lose the game. Who was it to? Oxygen? I don't remember who. C9, I think.
They had
It was C9.
crazy first kill win rate, and they just
Yeah.
couldn't convert.
They looked good. It looked better. They just couldn't close out rounds here and there due to like terrible post plants and stuff. And I don't know who mentioned it, but someone in the cast, I think it was you actually, Sideshow. You're like, these are easy fixes.
I did not cast that tournament, so I
Oh,
wouldn't.
I don't know who it was. I don't know who it was. Someone on
Maybe
the someone on the
DDK then?
desk. Yeah, DDK.
The other
It was DDK.
British man. Yeah.
It's like these are pretty easy fixes, but they looked good overall. They just didn't close out some of the really, really like obviously you should close out this round kind of
Yeah.
situations.
Yeah, maybe I'm underrating them just based on what they were doing last year.
But also the level of these teams that they're going to be playing are way better. That shit is going to happen frequently.
Fair, yeah.
Like they're going to get clutched on.
I'm just
frequently.
saying some of the problems that I did see
Yeah.
were very fixable things that if you like we mentioned is like a month or whatever, you can go over a lot of that stuff. So
Hmm.
I don't know. I just think in terms of firepower, they're right up there with everybody, like the top 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then they fix some of those problems. You never know.
Yeah, I'm kind of.
Whereas
rolling with it.
Whereas G2's initial performances, okay, sure, show matches, whatever, but they were fucking trying. Come on. They were fucking
Yeah, I
trying.
think they were really trying, but they had also been taking a massive break from playing
Yeah.
for a while before that. So they weren't coming into it hot, and we didn't see anything after them. There was only that one tournament.
Yeah,
it looked
true.
It looked significantly worse than they had been in the year before. I'm kind of judging them based off how well they played in that year. But who knows?
Yeah, I don't know, man.
I think at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter.
I think
Facts.
G2 is going to need the season to really figure out how to play in partnerships. I think they're going to get their ass kind of
That's what I think too.
welcome to the stage type.
That's
of
my personal
situation.
opinion as well. Kickoff in the first like few weeks of split one.
Yeah.
Especially because they went in. Dude, I just keep thinking about the fucking just playing Uno to win Ascension story. Like,
Oh, yeah, I
especially in
remember
comparison to them the year prior to like grinding the fuck out of the game, and that's how they went into last year's offseason grinding
That's
the crap out
that
of
was
the
from my
game.
interview with Valen, which is on YouTube right now. You can go watch that one. Thank you for the plug, Paul. Appreciate that.
Got you, Wyatt. Got you.
I'm okay with G2 or 100 Thieves kind of being there. I think this is. I'm cool with 100 Thieves being there for sure. I'm cool.
I
with
got
G2
one big
being
question.
there. What's your one big question?
Who's going to be the most pissed off about this power ranking? Because I feel like okay,
That's
the
a
Brazilians.
great question, actually.
It's the easiest
I
question
think-
in the world.
okay.
Easiest question in the world.
What's the
Brazilians.
answer, Kurt?
Loud is not number one. So there's your answer. They're not number one.
They are to me, man.
I mean, we have genuinely rated the Brazilian teams so poorly.
Loud is number one.
I
Well,
mean,
have we rated them poorly?
yeah, I mean, compared on what Loud achieved last year, putting them in fourth is low, but I think it's justified because of the loss of Aspas. And then Furia could end up being at the top of the middle of the pack, and we've put them at the bottom of the middle of the pack.
They could, but they also lost to global esports. So I'm not dying
Yeah,
to
but
throw
That
them
was
up there.
that game did not make any difference. That game didn't actually have an
All
effect
right,
at all.
and they
on the
also lost to
rankings.
Vitality, and they also
Vitality are good, dude.
Yeah,
Safe
but-
and Runner are cracked.
But,
Yes,
but
they
also,
are good.
you
I'm not
can't
saying they're not
give
good.
the same amount of bail to 100 Thieves and then not give the same amount of bail to Furia.
That's why
For
I'm
one
saying take
offseason.
away all the bail. Take away all the bail. 100 Thieves, send them plunging down the rankings. No bail for anyone. Sink all the ships. Plunge them into the harbor. Clog up the harbor. No trading to be done here.
what is your solution to this conundrum, Wilkinson?
Burn down civilization and start again.
I think it's
Alright.
easier to make a
Non-metaphorical.
ranking based off what we've seen the last 4 months than seeing the whole last year. You know? I think it's easier to
Yeah.
do that with their like recent rosters. Fuck everything else.
Mm.
And just based off what we've seen from the recent, like these current rosters that they have, I think this is the ranking I would go with.
Okay. Listen, Finesse is the special guest. We'll hang it all on him. It'll be an albatross around your neck, mate.
Oh no,
not
no! If
around
it's on
ours.
me, Loud number 1, Energy number 2. Next to that's we'll just leave it at that. I don't want any more DMs. I'm good.
Are we locking it in?
I'm down.
Is this the confirmed power ranking?
For me,
Yeah.
yes.
Type 1 in chat if you guys agree with that power ranking.
Yeah, type any other number if you don't.
It's okay. It's not bad. I'm okay with it. I can live with this.
All right, lock it in.
I can live with this, even though I kind of want EG to be I don't know. Who cares? They're all finishing at the bottom anyway. But I hope they have. I hope they don't. I hope everyone does.
I hope
really
everybody
well.
has fun.
I hope they have fun and everybody wins at least one map. and
Also,
looks
you guys
really good.
better
I hope
play
all the games
well
are
or you're
close.
screwed. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
They'll have bigger problems in the rankings
Ugh.
if they lose.
Mm.
Jesus Christ.
I miss power rankings.
I think
but
that
not
was
really.
our best power ranking yet, in my opinion.
No.
Like we say every time.
No.
We
No,
never
I
say
agree.
that.
No,
We-
because that is actually going to be a disastrous power ranking too. Because it's kickoff.
Dude, it's Kickoff.
The
There's
format
nothing
is
to
so,
fuck-
the format is so weird that it won't
Then
actually
can we add
align
another
with how
number
good
and
people
put
are.
Riot at the bottom? Dude. I'm down for that.
It's all right though, Josh, because it doesn't matter where they place. It just matters the level of strength that we see them at in the tournament, even if they go out and last. You know, that's what this will be
Yes.
judged by. That's what no one will judge it by, but that's what we'll judge it by.
Yes, exactly.
All right. So we're locked in. You took a screenshot, Kurt. I mean, you don't have to.
He
Do
doesn't
that.
need to. But the
Definitely
community
doesn't
does.
need
They're
to.
like, what are you talking about?
All right. So we're all good to go. Damn, that's everything. There's no breaking news. Nothing has happened.
Seth wanted
even
me
though this
to-
was a
Seth
5-hour
kept
episode.
messaging me during the show. He's like, "Do a breaking news and talk about the Overwatch news that is happening." I'm like, no. They announced like an esports system.
No.
They basically are just doing something. Something is
Oh,
happening in
that-
Overwatch. It's epic. But I don't want to talk about it.
I-
This is like the longest episode of all time, and we gotta go.
Derek tweeted that he was joining the Overwatch League.
And we gotta go.
We gotta
All right, well, let's go then.
Finesse has been up for like 20 hours at this point, bro. Like,
You
That's
haven't
what it is.
slept?
I went to the gym before that I streamed. I didn't realize this would be this long, but honestly, I'm
What?
locked in
You
now. I can do like 4 power
let's
rankings,
go.
bro.
Let's go.
All right, well, let's
It's
bring
no
up Kurt,
problem.
bring up
I can do
APAC.
I can do a player ranking if you want right now. Fuck it.
Oh, top 20 episode.
Let's
That's such a bad idea, man.
Kurt, what graphics do you have ready?
None.
What can we pull up?
Kurt's not there right now, bro. He got up for a second.
We need to extract more watch time and content. That's fine though.
Sorry, just invite me back.
We'll do a top 100 player list next
I
week.
bet. Next time I get into a
Going,
late game, I'll invite
dude,
you.
genuinely going into Madrid, top 20 players would go crazy with you. Those are impossible. They're genuinely
So
impossible
down.
lists.
Always down, man.
You don't know what you're signing up for.
Okay.
No, it's just funny because I'll just put people places and you guys would argue about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yes,
fucking perfect.
you're right. That's
And
exactly
I won't even
what
be
we
in an
do.
argument. I'll just be sitting there watching.
That is exactly what we do.
Sounds like your gelling style. You just
All
put
right.
people places and then
Yep.
do nothing.
Yeah, literally. Actually,
We need to get the hell out of here. I need to
All
get
right,
out.
guys.
I
Then,
need to go
then
outside.
say goodbye, Wyatt.
Oh,
It's
okay,
your
fine.
job.
Oh, wait, I need to give the award really quick.
Oh, okay.
Let me just give it, and then I need to go eat. Oh wait. Okay.
what am I watching?
Real quick, and then I'm getting we're getting out of here. This award, easiest one of my life. I've had COVID for the past like 35 days. It was ridiculous. And how was I passing the time? Playing against ISOs and TDM for so many countless hours. And who did I win TDM with? Lo and behold, it was Calm's dad. We popped off together in TDM. So I'm going to give it to Calm's dad for winning a TDM game with me. And on that note, we're getting the fuck out of here. Because this has been the longest episode of all time. Thank you all for watching. We'll see you next week for episode 164. Goodbye.
Bye.